Hey, Jeff Justice here with Jeff Justice Seminars for Court Reporters. I want to thank you so much for deciding to choose us to get your online CEUs with. We promise not to disappoint you. We provide laugh-packed, content-rich seminars so that you can get your CEUs from the comfort of your own home or office. So basically, you're going to watch the videos as you do, print out the PDFs for the quizzes, answer the questions as you go along. At the end of the whole seminar, so if you're taking a 10-hour seminar after you finish all the sections, email me all of your answers. I will grade them and get you back your letter of completion for your state, and if you're an RPR, the proper forms for NCRA. So get ready to laugh and learn with Jeff Justice Seminars for Court Reporters. So as we now move into the ethics portion of our program, again, you know how I met Pam. I met her through Anita when I was looking for somebody to take over the ethics portion of our program. That is the first name that came out of her mouth, and she said, there's nobody else in Texas. You go get Pam. And Pam joined us about 5 years ago and has been a fantastic addition. Matter of fact, somebody on our online program today, I sent you the email, was just raving about her, about what a great job it was and what she learned from the program, and what a wonderful addition she was to the team. So I'm glad to have her here. You're going to love seeing her today if you haven't seen her before. If you have seen her before, hey, welcome back, Pam. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So let's keep that energy up for the rest of the afternoon. Yes? Or you're going to have to eat more sugar. Your choice, okay? Trying to make it easy on you, okay? So with ethics by chance or by choice, a nice round of applause for Pam Coder!
Hello, everybody. I think I know a lot of you, but just for my own sake, I would like to know who you are. So you're Scott.
I'm Scott.
You're Brenda. Rachel. Starla.
Woody.
Brandy.
Jane.
Ron.
Carol. Charity.
Newbie. Charity.
Sounds like the Mickey Mouse Club.
I'm sorry.
Holly.
Holly.
Tony.
Tanya.
Barbie. Oh.
Crystal.
Sandy.
Sherry.
Yay. Okay. Now let's see if I remember that. Yeah, it won't happen. Sorry. I have to write your names at least 3 times before I remember them. Okay, so let's talk about some ethics. So first thing we do is we're going to talk about NCRA stuff. So how many of you have been keeping up with what's going on out there right now with all the different states and their CSRs? Anybody know what's going on? Okay, something current that just happened. Arizona decided to not only have their CSR, but now they're allowing people to come in and report with just an RPR. So there's some stuff like that going on around. New Jersey passed a new law that the reporter's audio is the reporter's property. The reporter, they don't have to give it out. So now we have case law, right? It's a good thing, right? Just a few little different things going on. Are all of you guys members of NCRA?
Not right now.
What about TCRA?
Not right now.
People, got to keep up with what's happening out there. There's a lot of changes going on. I highly recommend that you at least join one of them, your local, or maybe even if I know there's a Dallas one here, or any of you members of Dallas. Are all of you guys from the Dallas area?
Yes.
Who's not from the Dallas area? Where are you from?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, awesome. You've been here before, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay, I recognize you. And what about back there?
We're from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, awesome.
Cool.
Anywhere else? Cool. Oklahoma, you guys have to have a CSR, right? Okay. And what about you? RPR or CSR in your state?
RPR.
RPR. Cool. Okay.
But not all.
But not all. Do you have a Texas CSR? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay, I was just wondering. Okay, good to know. So. Oh yeah, Oklahoma. Where in Oklahoma are you guys from?
We're from Ardmore, right across the border.
Okay.
We both have Texas CSR.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you practice them both. That's awesome to know. And Charity, I've seen are you on Facebook? Are you on the Google group?
I'm on the Google group.
Texas Google group? That's where I've seen your name. I know. I was like, I've seen you. Okay. Do all of you know about the different groups out there? There are several Facebook groups. There's the court reporters who vent here. Y'all know about that one? Oh my gosh, people, where have you been? You under a rock? Okay.
That's why they were here.
So let's talk about these things. Okay. So Facebook, if you go to Facebook and you type in court reporter, you're going to see there's a bunch of groups. It's not just for socializing. There are groups on there that help you with your software.
Yes.
If you were on Eclipse, Catalyst, ProCat, Digital Cat, whatever you're on, there are different groups that they will help you without you having to call tech support. Especially if you're in the middle of a job and tech support's not answering, you need a quick answer. You can go on there and somebody will help you out. Yes?
I can attest to that. I didn't really, my friends have been telling me about it for years, and I was trying to figure out something with my software, and I was just getting super frustrated. I spent an hour on it, so I called one of my other friends, and she's like, go to Facebook. I'm like, no, because I'm very anti-Facebook. I'm very,
Right.
So she like typed in the question for me and texted me back within 5 minutes, like somebody responded, and I was like, and it was right. I was like, it was the correct fix, and I was really excited about that.
It's wonderful. What she was saying was, for those of you on the video, was that she is not on Facebook, but a friend of hers typed a question for her, and she got a response back within about 5 minutes, and that's typically the case. So if you, whatever software you're on, there are user groups on Facebook for you. There's also groups where if you've had the job from hell and you just want to vent, you know you can't really vent to anybody else, right? But you can vent to another court reporter. There are vent pages on there where you can just go and just let it all spew out. And nobody's going to judge you. Just remember what you say is there forever. So be careful what you say online, okay? And then there are groups that encourage students. So if you like working with students, there's a group encouraging court reporting students. There is a group from San Antonio. I cannot remember the name of that particular group. There is a group in Corpus Christi. There are just groups all over the place and their goal is to help the students from the schools in their area get finished with school. And they're always looking for people to come on and answer questions. And then there's the Texas Google group. That is not only a place to go when you have questions, or if you have a question about how to do something, like you don't know how to, you're beginning and end pages, you don't know what to do. You're like, I haven't done one of these kind of jobs in 5 years and I can't remember how to do my beginning pages. You can go on there and somebody will send you their pages. Let them know what software you're on and they'll help you out. Also, it's a good place to go if you're looking for a job. Maybe your job canceled for tomorrow and you're free. You can go on there and people post jobs on there. This is on the Texas Google group. You can go on there and, Texas Google group, and there's job postings on there all the time. There are also, on Facebook, there are job boards. Go type in court reporter job board. I know of 3 in different areas of Texas, and you can go on there and you're looking for a job, and there are jobs posted all over the place, and people needing help. And not only that, but one really great thing I love about the Texas Google group is people go on there and they talk about firms who don't pay quickly, or firms who don't pay at all, or they talk about page rates, and they talk about what Anita was talking about, empowerment, self-empowerment. And what do I mean by that? They talk about standing up for yourself and the page rates that you're making. Why should you go take a job where you're going to get $2.67 a page when you can go negotiate? Talks about the power of negotiation and having your own rate list that you will accept or you won't accept a job, and this is what you feel like you're worth and you want to get paid, and people talk about that on there. And so it's a place to go and discuss things that are happening in the reporting field.
And it's called what?
It's a Texas Google group. It's a, you know what it is? I can find it for you.
Look at my phone.
Oh, let her look at her phone, I'll get her to find it for you. But you can go and ask to be added to the group, and you let them know, you have to make sure you let them know you're a reporter and that you're certified. You have to be a reporter. They don't allow, I don't believe they allow firm owners or non-reporters on that group, on the Texas Google group. On some of the Facebook pages, they allow firm owners and things. So like I say, always be careful what you say on those groups because could come back to bite you. So just be cognizant of that.
It's Texas Reporters at googlegroups.com.
Texas Reporters at googlegroup.com.
Groups.
Groups with an S.com. Thank you.
Texas
Reporters.
TexasReporters@GoogleGroups.com.
You have to ask Christy to be invited.
You have to ask Christy to be invited to be able to do anything on there, and she'll put you on. Okay, anybody have questions about any of that? Come on, I know you do. Okay, so the Facebook groups are really, like I said, they're a great way to go on and help other reporters. You may know something that somebody else doesn't know. You may have worked with an attorney that this person is about to work with, and maybe they have a question about a case, a term that they can't find. That comes up a lot. A term that they can't find and they need help, and maybe you've had that case and you know that term. You can go respond back, and somebody's not spending 3 hours looking for something. You know, so there's all kinds of things we can do to help each other make our jobs and our lives easier, so we're not spending so much time at the computer. Let's talk about, something else we talk about is turnaround time. I consider this ethics, don't y'all? Let's talk about turnaround time. So what is the normal turnaround time for you guys here?
8 business days.
8
7
business days?
days.
8, 7, it's kind of all over the place, isn't it?
Wow.
5 to 8 to, they're not, I don't see any 10 and 14 anymore, do
I know,
you?
it used to be 14.
It used to be 14, right? Within, even just 5 years ago, it was 14.
Yeah.
So are y'all able to get your stuff out that quickly?
Usually.
Are you working every day?
You mean writing every day?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you had to give up working every day in order to get your jobs out on time, which means you're losing money, right? So what are you going to do about that? Anything? Or do you care to do anything about it? I don't like losing money. I used to work every day. I can't do that anymore because I can't get my stuff out on time. And
Page rate hasn't gone up.
say it again.
Page rate has not gone up.
Exactly. She's saying the page rate has not gone up, but the delivery time has gone down,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So what's the alternatives? What can you do to fight that? Say it again.
Get a scopus and proofread.
Get a scopus and a proofreader. That helps. What else can you do?
Get better at your writing.
Get better at your writing. Exactly. You can work on your real time with Anita Paul's Real-Time Mastery Workshop, which is online. And that will help you get your stuff out faster. What else can you do? Anybody? Anybody?
So what's the turnaround time?
It typically it's between 5 and 8 days for most firms.
And what did it used to be?
She's asking what the turnaround time is. Typically freelance 5 to 8 days. It used to be 14 days, 2 weeks typically.
And can you still request like an extension?
Can you request like an extension? She's asking. Well,
Not on a
can you?
Not on a deadline.
Can you?
If I have something that an attorney has not asked for, and they've told me at the time, I always ask, do you need this, within a certain time frame to know if it's a rush? And they say, oh no, we're not going to try for a while. If the firm asks me and they're super busy, I let them know I have a backlog. Is it if it's fine with you, I'll go ahead and take that job tomorrow, but the attorney doesn't need it. So that's kind of the way I work it out. So they'll know if they're looking at, hey, this is 8 days old. Well, she worked for me because she was just trying to help out.
Exactly. Everybody understand that? Everybody hear what she said? What she was saying was she'll ask them, if she's got a backlog, and she'll ask the attorneys, when would you like this? If they say they don't need it anytime quick, she puts it in her queue, right? And then she lets the firm know that if they want her to take more work, that she's got a backlog, and if they're okay with that, with her not getting things turned in their timeline, she'll take the job. Is that what the rest of you do? Pretty much? Well, let me ask this question. How many of you are freelancers in this room? How many of you are officials? And what about CART? Anybody CART? Okay, CART. Captioning? Anybody captioners in here? No captioners? Okay. You do both? Okay. Okay.
Just a little dabbling in captioning.
Okay. Well, this is sort of what I do. I'm just going to tell you what I do. I'm a militant kind of, so let's just be honest. I have gotten to the point where I'm very frustrated with these turnaround times Because a lot of these firms want 5-6 day turnaround, but they don't want to pay you to get that turnaround time. All right, but I'm having to pay my scopist rush, because to them, that's a rush to get that out, right? And so you're losing money. And I can't work every day because I can't get my jobs out, right? Okay, so what are y'all going to do about that? I'll tell you what I'm going to do, but what do y'all do? Do you just deal with it? Are any of y'all fighting it at all? You don't do anything at all? Well, let me tell you what I do. Okay, and this is just me, and some of my friends do the same thing, but I usually will tell the firm, I work for about 20 firms, just so you know. I work for about 20 firms. I have firms in Texas I work for. I have firms in California, New York, New Jersey, Florida, Georgia, Oklahoma. You name a state, and I probably have people that I work for there, Colorado. And they know that we are very busy down here. I don't know about you guys, but I've been slammed. This whole area has just been inundated with work, right? People are wanting to move here. I was at a Anita seminar, and there were people there asking about the work here because they wanted to move here to Texas because we have so much work, and in their states, they're not working that much. So, we were like, yeah, we need you. These are the areas. We need you in San Antonio. We need you in the Valley. We need you in El Paso area. We're trying to keep them out of Houston and Dallas. We've got enough. But, no, we're busy too. But, so what I try to do is I let the firm know, like you said, I let them know I'm backlogged. And if they call me and they say, this case we need this out in 5 days. And my first question to them is it you wanting it in 5 days or is it the client wanting it in 5 days? And if they say it's them, I'm like, well, it ain't happening. Because I have a huge backlog. So either you can call somebody else to take this job or I'll take it, but I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to be able to get it to you. And then they'll either use me or they won't. Typically, they end up calling me back because everybody's slammed, right? If they say it's the client, then I say call the client, and I want to drop dead date when they have to have it by, so that I make sure you get it out, to put it in my queue. And then I always ask at the job too, and half the time, I've noticed this, half the time that the reporting firm says that they need something within 5 days, and they say it's the client, it's not the client. It's the reporting firm. The client doesn't care, because I've been doing this one case out of Louisiana for about 4 months, and I was told everything was 5 day turnaround. So I talked to the attorneys. I was in, seriously, for 2 solid weeks, I had depositions from 8 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. And I said, there is no way I can have this to you guys in 5 days. I'm here. I don't have time to proofread unless you want me not to look at it. And me send it to my scopist and my proofreader, and me make corrections and just send it out. If you want that, I'll do that. I don't like it, because I like to be the last set of eyes on my transcripts. But if you want me to do that, I'm willing to do it. And they're like, oh no, we can wait. We can wait. So I think a lot of it is, it's communication with the attorneys and communication with the firms. We have to let them know that we're people. We have lives. We have other things going on. We may be taking care of sick parents. We have all kinds of things going on in our lives, right? And we can't always do these 5-6 day turnarounds that they're wanting us to do. I'm pretty vocal about it, and I'm not one to sit back. And sometimes I have a job right now that I took, really technical job. It was 5 straight days, and the firm said it was an expedite. Well, the attorneys told me it's not an expedite, so I'm not treating it as an expedite. Frankly, I haven't even started on them yet. I was trying to prepare for my seminars, so that was a week ago. Yeah, I gotta start on them tomorrow, but they're not done, and that's about 1,200 pages. So when you take 1,200 pages in a week, and they want things in 5 days, there's no way. I have 6 scopists, but they're all babies. They're all just learning, and I don't trust them. So I have to read everything because I don't trust them. And so there's no way I can get all that out with 5 day turnaround. So what do you guys do in those situations? Are you using Scopus? Mm-hmm.
I just have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've kind of been out of the loop for about 7 years. Why has it gone down to such a short turnaround? Because of the real time?
No, it has nothing to do with real time. No, it's the firms they're trying to supposedly be competitive. And so she's asking me, say that one more time, I'm sorry.
why the turnaround time has changed so much?
She's asking why the turnaround time has changed so much. Sorry, I forget to repeat things for this video sometimes. Frankly, I think it's just that the firms want things turned in quicker so that they can compete against each other. And so what they do, they really can't compete in other ways. So the way for them to compete is to get things out faster. And all it's doing is making us work our tails off harder. And they're making all the money. We're still getting the same page rate, right? And it's frustrating. The page rate hasn't changed in 20. I've been reporting 22 years. It has not changed. It's still the exact same it was 22 years ago. And so I'll tell you what I've started doing. If a firm calls me, like I said, I work for like 20 firms, so they'll call me and say, hey, can you take a job for me tomorrow? What's your rate? What kind of case is it? What's your rate? And I always ask that question, what's your rate? And if it's too low, I won't walk out my door for me getting less than $3.40 a page. I won't walk out my door for less than $3.40 a page.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's the minimum I'll take. Yeah.
Her cut.
That's my cut, $3.40 a page. I will, and that's for the 0-1, okay? I won't walk out for less than that, and that's not real time. That's just basic, because I do a lot of big stuff, and that's kind of the typical range you're gonna get. Y'all are from Dallas, y'all have higher page rates than we do in Houston. Our page rates can vary between, say, I'm gonna say $4 to $4.80. And I know here it's a little bit higher, from what I understand. That's why I do a lot more work for Dallas and Louisiana, because I get higher page rates. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I work for a lot of Dallas firms.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are between $3.05 and $3.20 a page.
And that's what you get. Your cut, $3.05 to $3.20. Yeah.
I mean, if I get above $3.40,
That's really good. Yeah. She's saying if she gets above $3.40, that's really good. I think it depends where you live, because it seems like there's different areas of Texas where the page rates vary a little bit. But on average, I would say the going 0-1 in my area is depending on the firm, is anywhere from $4. Sometimes it's lower than that with these insurance things, but I would say $4 up to about $4.80, $4.85 if it's an expert. Now, what do you do to negotiate that? I started negotiating. That Google group has helped me so much, I'm telling you. I've been doing this a long time. I never even realized you could negotiate. I never negotiated, okay? Until I got on that Google group and I'm like, hey, they empowered me. And so I had a few firms call me with really low ball rates. And I was like, I am not walking out my door for that. This is how much I want. And this is what I'm willing to do. And my turnaround time is 14 days. Take it or leave it, because I'm slammed and I'm not going to turn it in 5-6 days. I'm going to turn in a quality product. If you want crap, I'll turn it into you in 5 days. That means I don't have time to proofread it. That means I'm giving it to somebody to proofread and I have no idea if it's correct or not.
Yeah.
And so if that's what you want, then find somebody else. And I've never lost a job. They always cave, because why? There's so many jobs out there right now, we don't have enough people. I get at least 10 calls a day for jobs. At least 10 calls a day. It's crazy busy. And for those of you in court, if you need some side work, we need you. Freelance is booming. There's not enough people. And we're trying to train people, but we can't get them out fast enough. And I don't know if y'all realize, the last Texas test, the one that we just had, not a soul passed it. Not one person passed that test. Nobody. No. Nobody. Not one person passed it.
The whole state.
The whole state.
Wow.
And we had we had reporters from out of state taking that test. Nobody passed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you say you work for all these different firms,
Mhm.
you do the work in Houston,
Yes.
but these are firms calling that are going to have attorneys coming to Houston?
Yes.
And then you...
They have, what she's asking me, the cases that I take from all these people from all over the place, are they cases that are where their attorneys are coming to Houston? They're not necessarily Texas cases. I do a lot of federal stuff too. So a lot of these cases are federal, or they may be a Louisiana case, or they could be New York case, whatever, and they need reporters here, and maybe they don't want to network through a firm. and they'll use me to do it. And as long as they're licensed here, I make sure, the big thing is to make sure that they have a license here, because they need to be, if it's a federal case, they don't really have to be licensed here. If it is the firms. If the firm is here doing business and they have, if they're bringing in their cases like Louisiana, let's say, for example, and they've got a bunch of for lawyers coming over here for their own cases, their Louisiana cases, they don't have to have a license here. What happens is, for me, when I do Louisiana stuff, I'm not licensed in Louisiana, but I'm doing their cases here in Texas, because a Louisiana reporter cannot come into Texas and take those jobs, right? She's not certified here. But what happens is, they'll have me do all these jobs. I can't, in Louisiana, they can't allow you to, they're not allowed to sign your transcripts, and they're not allowed to use digital. I don't know if y'all realize that. You know how we can easily do real legal and all that? They're not allowed to do that in Louisiana. They have to hand sign everything. Yeah, it's crazy. So what they do is, I do all my transcripts and I turn them in through Real Legal, so they've got my signature on them, but then they send me all the paper transcripts for those people who don't want electronic, and I have to actually sign them all, and they have them in boxes. Who goes to go to what firm? They send me these giant boxes of transcripts, and I sign them all and put them in the things, and then mail them off for them. And yeah, that's how they have to do it for Louisiana. It depends on the state. I take stuff for other places, a lot of federal. And what do y'all do? Let me ask you this question. What pages are y'all using on your end pages, those of you from Texas, when you're doing an out-of-state case? What pages are you using for your end pages? Are you using your state pages? Are you using federal pages? What are you using?
I have something that's called a short, simple cert that also has the errata sheet.
Okay, this is what I do. Because we can't use our state pages, because they're not Texas, right? So we don't know what their rules are, right? I have no clue. I do their work, but I don't know what their rules are. Okay, so you can't use Texas pages, because that's our rules. So what I do is use the federal read and sign page, but I have, federal, we don't have to do read and sign, right? Federal is pursuant to perjury. So there's no read and sign on federal pages. Y'all realize that, right? Okay, because they don't have to read and sign in federal. Okay, so what I do is I have a separate page that's called I call it federal, even though it's not, it's really out of state. I should rename it. Out of state in pages. And it's like the federal pages, only it has the errata sheet. And it has a read and sign section. Sorry. So federal, I use my, like you said, it's like a short cert, but it's my federal read and sign. Okay, so like I said, I use my federal pages. I just took I have my waive page, in case they waive signature, and then when I do out-of-state cases, I always ask the firm that I'm taking the job for, in your state, do they have to read before a notary or not? Just like federal, they don't have to read before a notary. So I ask them when I do the job, and that way I know which end page to use. So if they say they have to read before a notary, I have what I call my out-of-state page, which is the federal page with the errata sheet and the signature block. Okay, and then I have my waive also, just in case they say no, they don't have to read it, or they're going to waive. So I ask that question. I usually ask the attorneys too at the beginning of the job. I'll say, if it's an out-of-state case, I'll just say, okay, this is out-of-state, so do you guys, are y'all required to read in front of a notary or no? So, and most of the time they don't know.
They don't.
They really don't. They go, I don't know. So if they don't know and the firm didn't tell me, I just automatically put the read and sign on there in front of the notary, because they can always scratch it off, right? So I just automatically put that on there. Okay. Now more about this turnaround time thing. Right now I'm running like 15 days on my transcripts. And I usually will tell the attorney, this is my spiel when I go in. I always let the firm know I'm running behind, because I took 1,200 pages last week. I'm slammed, And so if I'm really behind, I'll let the firm know and say, hey, because I book way in advance, so I have jobs already scheduled for the end of the month and for November that I don't really want to give up, because they're cases I've been working on, and the attorneys are used to one person taking this case, and they don't like to have a lot of people. And so I try to stick with the stuff that I've known and I've assigned to. But I let them know, hey, I'm running behind. I even sometimes I'll email the attorneys and say, hey, I'm running behind. Are you okay? Do you have a hearing coming up? But I do ask during the job, but before the end, I'll always ask them, hey, what is your drop dead date? Because I am really behind and I need to know your drop dead date. Do you have a mediation coming up? Do you have a hearing? Do you have something coming up where you're going to have this transcript? And if they say no, it goes in my queue. It just goes behind everything else. If they say I have to have this by such and such date, then it goes in front. If they want it within 7 business days, it's a rush. I don't care what the firm tells me, it's a rush because I'm behind. And I'm going to charge rush rates. So and I'm going to tell the firm this is a rush and they're going to pay rush. And, we can't hold the transcript hostage, but you can talk about them on Google. And it upset, and people will stand up for themselves and stop taking these rates, these crappy rates. We can all help each other out. I was reading some stuff where people are taking these really ridiculous jobs that are real time, and they are giving it away. Giving away their real time. Why would you do that? That is so stressful. Real time is already stressful. You've had to buy all that equipment. I just had to buy a new computer. Let me give you a story about what happened to me. I was in the middle of a real-time job, and I had 15 attorneys on the phone. I had 9 attorneys in the room with me, and I only had like 4 people connected, but I'm going along. We'd only been going 10 minutes. I'd been doing this case for 4 months, okay? And we had only been on the record like 10 minutes. All of a sudden, I look up and I notice that my audio is not working, because I have a ProCat, so it has little bars so you know if you're working or not. All of a sudden the bar stopped, and within 2 seconds of the bar stopping, everything stopped. Nothing was writing, and I'm like, okay. So my first thought, I'm pretty calm, I'm like, excuse me, we need to go off the record for just a second, technical problem. And everybody's like, okay, cool, no problem, So I checked my wires. I changed out one of my cables, because I have a cable that hooks from my router. I'm not wireless, cable that hooks from my router to my computer. It was connected, but I always carry a spare, so I changed it just to be safe. Still not working. So I was like, okay, and I'm also a trainer for ProCat, so if I can't figure it out in 5 minutes, there's a problem. So I said, okay, we need to take 5. Can you guys go grab a coffee, give me 5, let me call tech support. So I called tech support. They're awesome because they're like, ProCat is boom, you call, they're on the phone. And they answered right away, and I said, this is what my problem is. Jose gets in there. I said, take control and fix it. I got people waiting. I have I don't even know how many attorneys. Can you please just fix it now? So he went on, he's looking through there. And this computer was Windows 7. So you shouldn't have been having any issues. I had it set to where no updates, right? So he gets in there and he's checking it out, and what had happened, and I don't know if any of you have had this problem, so be on the lookout for this. It was Windows 7. I had gotten some files from a videographer that was on Dropbox. I don't use Dropbox, didn't have it in my computer before, but when they sent it to me, it downloaded Dropbox into my computer. Well, Dropbox updates itself. It overwrote all my stuff. He had to go in there and re-put in the stuff that told my stuff what to do in my software, and then it took about 15 minutes. And he had to delete Dropbox. Well, we didn't know that the first time. The first time he got it fixed. He said, don't turn it off. Just keep going. Everything should be working. So I'm like, okay. And so I get on it. It's working. We go for about 2.5 hours, and it's about 11:30, and we usually didn't take lunch till 12. And all of a sudden, it happens again. It just shuts down. Nothing's writing. Nothing's working. And then I'm like, I am really sorry, guys. I have to call tech support again. Can we take an early lunch? And everybody's fine. I mean, I've never had a problem. I've been on this job for months, never had a problem. Everybody's cool. They're like, let's take an early lunch, give you time to get this straight. They were so sweet. One of the attorneys went and got me lunch and brought it to me while I was trying to do everything. And I'm on the phone with tech support. And he's in there messing with it, trying to figure it out. And I'm watching because I want to see what he's doing so I can know what to do. And he's messing with it. And y'all are going to die. This is crazy. I had this, there was 2 attorneys that day that had not been in any of the other depots I took. for this one day, they had swapped out with whoever it was that had been taking this job. And it was a man and a woman, and they were with the same firm. And so I'm sitting there with tech support on speaker in the room, this giant room, me and the videographer. Nobody else was in the room. So the lady walks in, she looks at me, and she goes, well, you know, we just can't have this happening. He's got a flight to catch. Oh, and she's like carrying on, and I'm on the phone with tech support, right, trying to fix this problem. And she looks at me, she goes, can you bring a backup tomorrow? Now, mind you, I'm in Dallas. This job was in Dallas. I'm from Houston, right? I always bring backups, except I didn't have a backup computer. I have everything else backup, but no computer. So she's like, can you get in the reporter, or can you get a backup tomorrow? And she's carrying on, and I'm ignoring her because I'm on the phone with tech support, right? So finally, I was like really frustrated. And I looked up, and I'm trying to be kind, but I'm a little bit militant, is that the word? So I said, do you have $1,000? She kind of looked at me blankly, and I said, no, do you have $1,000? And she looks at me, and she's like, for what? And I said, well, we got a couple options here. I said, you can hand me $1,000, and when we get done here today, I'll run over to Best Buy and see if they have a computer that doesn't have Windows 10 in it, because if you look at my Google thing right now, see all these people who are complaining about Google crashing on them in the middle of a job? I said, I don't have Windows 10, I have Windows 7. I said, but I can go get a Windows 10 computer today at Best Buy. I can spend the night trying to get it ready for tomorrow's job so that we can get your witness out of here tomorrow night. I said, but that means I won't have time to do your rough draft that you want by in the morning, and we don't know if this Windows 10 computer is going to crash tomorrow. I said, but if that's what you'd like me to do, hand me $1,000 and I'll go take care of that now. I said, option 2, you can go back in the room with everybody else and go have lunch and relax and let me do my job and get this computer back running so we can get back on the record so that we can get this job done and get your client on his flight. I said, so what do you think? Which option would you like to do? And she looked at me, and it was really funny because as I'm saying this, 2 of the female attorneys I've been working with for months that I've known for a long time, they were walking in the door and they heard me, and they're like snickering, and I'm trying to keep a straight face, and she looks at me like hell's gonna freeze over, and she walks out of the room, and she doesn't say a thing, she just walks out of the room. I said, I guess that was option 2. And and they're laughing. Those other 2 attorneys are laughing. My tech support guy on the phone is laughing. The videographer is laughing. He goes, I can't believe you just did that. And I'm like, I thought I was being kind. I gave her an option, $1,000, or she can leave and let me do my job. And so it was really funny because the 2 attorneys, the female attorneys that were in the room, they said, that was so awesome. I can't believe you. And so they said, that was good. She hasn't been here. She doesn't realize that you haven't had any problems. Well, apparently, she went back in the room with everybody that was having lunch, and they told her to leave me alone because she never came back in the room. But at the end of the day, when we were done, she walked over to me, and she patted me on the shoulder. You did an awesome job. Thank you. I was like, okay, so maybe that worked, because I was thinking, wow, that was kind of mean. After I said it, I was like, because at the time you're just trying to get her out of your hair because you can take care of business, because once she left and we figured out, that's when he figured out it was Dropbox. He deleted Dropbox from my computer, and I've not had any more issues with that specific computer. Now, I will tell you, then I got nervous because I didn't know Windows 10 is trying to force itself to update your computers. So I was worried, so I went ahead and bought myself another computer. I bought a Windows 10. Hate it. I don't know if y'all have had problems. It does crazy stuff. Even though I've told it not to update, do y'all realize you can't turn it off? You can't tell it not to update? Well, you can, but it ignores you. It totally ignores you. I told it never to update. I was in the middle of a real-time job 2 weeks ago. It was my second job with this computer. And we're going along. And all of a sudden, nothing. I had nothing. It wouldn't write. And it was crazy. I was on the same job this whole week. The first 2 days it worked fine. This was on a Wednesday. It just wouldn't write. I couldn't get anything to work. I tried everything. I called tech support. Well, Windows 10 had done an update that morning. It wasn't just me. Everybody had a problem with Windows 10. So tech support, I got a busy signal for an hour and a half. We started my depot an hour and a half late. I was very fortunate. They were like super nice about it because I had been on this case. And they're like, we know that, and I said, I'm trying to call tech support. They could see I had it on speaker. It was busy. And I'm like, guys, I don't know what else to do because I can't even write to my machine because I didn't have my cards in my machine because I never write to just my machine. I always write to my computer. So I'm like, okay, what do you guys want to do? You want to go grab some breakfast and come back, or you want to hang out? And we started the depot an hour and a half late and finally got hold of tech support and it had overwritten the commands. Windows 10 had just flat overwritten, even though I'd said not to do it. And they told me at tech support, you cannot turn off, you can't say never update. It's going to do it automatically. When Microsoft was trying to force you to do updates. And so you never know when I was panicked that whole week. Then after that, I was like, so I never know when I get to a job if it's going to work. So now I'm like going really extremely extra early in case it doesn't work so I can call tech support to get it back going, which is crazy.
So how is it updating wirelessly?
Yeah.
Can you turn that on?
No. No, it just does it. I can't even describe how it does. I don't even know how it does it, but it's doing it. It just does it on its own.
So Windows 10 sucks.
Windows 10, yeah, yeah. But the problem is, I don't know that we can do anything differently because Microsoft is trying to make it where it updates everything. So even when they come up with their next update, I even called and complained. I said, you're messing with people's lives here because those of us who have stuff set to where it doesn't update like that, it's for a reason. And court reporters, we don't need this stuff updating in the middle of a job. It tried to update on me in the middle of a job on Friday. All of a sudden I look up and it's starting to restart and I'm like, cancel.
So it updates when you're hooked up to the internet.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't hooked up.
Well,
I wasn't hooked up.
so
I didn't have
sometime
anything
during the
to
day
do.
you were hooked up to the internet.
Yeah, and it just starts to do it. It just starts to do it on its own.
Is there any way to avoid, because see, I have Windows 7, and they kept trying to get me to upgrade. Oh my God, it was just like, almost like a year.
Yeah.
And I kept saying no, so finally when it got towards the end, and I guess when it was no longer free, I clicked, and I haven't gotten it since, so I feel like, because I was almost like afraid.
You're probably
Somebody told me
okay.
they were gonna somebody told me that they didn't want it, and it like downloaded anyway.
If you catch it in time, I think you're safe with Windows 7. Windows 8 downloads it automatically. I don't think you can tell that. I think Windows 8 is going to do it anyway. But Windows 7, you can tell it not to, and I don't think it'll do that. Because I know several people have downgraded their Windows 10 to Windows 7 because of that situation.
How can you do? Because see, I need a new computer. That's the thing.
You can actually, if you, what is the name of that? That guy who sends me emails all the time.
Larry Pines?
No, it's going to come to me. There's a guy who does court reporting computers. It's going to come to me. They do Lenovo computers, and they can fix it to where you have Windows 7, what they call Windows 7 script, like the home screen. And it's like Windows 7. They backdo everything to Windows 7 to where you're not on Windows 10. Sometimes, if you go online, you can look. I couldn't find one. They did have some Windows 7 at Best Buy, but they were slower computers, not the like i7s. I think they were like i3s maybe. You can still look on like Amazon and a few places like that, and you can still find some Windows 7. You just have to search them out and find them. I don't know what they're going to do about this Windows 10 thing. I talked to tech support and I said, is there anything we can do? What can we do? And in my case, my particular tech support for ProCat said there's really nothing you can do until Microsoft stops doing these Windows 10 updates. And they don't know if they're trying to force people to do it.
Does it affect like case catalysts?
It affects everybody. Yeah. So if you have a crash and you're in the middle of a job, you know it's probably your Windows 10 and you need to call your tech support. So if you're not on tech support, I highly recommend you get on tech support. Because
tech support through
your own software, whatever your software is.
But like ProCat for you.
Yeah, like for me, ProCat. Because if you have a problem like that, that is not something you can solve on your own. I tried. I was waiting for an hour and a half, so I thought, okay, it's a new computer. I can back it up. By watching them so many times, I've learned how to do certain things. I thought, okay, I can back it up to this point in time when it was new, and it should work, right? Yeah, that didn't work. So if I hadn't had tech support, I don't know what I would have done, because I wouldn't have been able to figure that out on my own. So I think it's important, that you all may want to think about getting tech support in this age of
Yeah.
Windows 10. Yeah, and it's expensive, I know, but yeah, I wouldn't have known what to do, and it was completely crashed. I couldn't even get in. So there's a little piece of advice for that. Let's see. So in talking also about negotiating page rate, do any of you have your own list that you're willing to take, like your own page sheet that you use? Anybody?
What now?
Do you have your own page rate sheet that you send out to firms that you work for? I don't really have a sheet, but I will tell them, this is what I expect, and for real time, this is what I expect. And also, I don't know if y'all realize that videographers usually get paid even if the people don't show up. We get a CNA as what, $67, $100. They have a minimum of $200. Do y'all know that interpreters have a minimum of $250?
I've heard that.
They have a minimum of $250, because I got stiff for that once, because my client forgot to tell me that the job moved on a different day, and interpreters require 24-hour notice. So 12 hours, you're paying $250. So, and videographers are getting that. So why shouldn't we? We have the skill, right?
Yeah.
Why are we getting $67? $100?
For a long time.
Yeah, it's been that same minimum forever. So some people have upped their minimums.
For what?
Some people for CNAs, appearance fees. I know certain reporters who have upped their minimums to $200 to $300. Some of them are $300. They're like, I'm not walking out my door for less than $300, and they're getting it. It's surprising to me, but they're getting it. And then on page rates, some of them are fighting to get higher page rates, and they're letting other people know, you shouldn't take it for this. You should, this is too low. And they're getting it. I just tell them what I'm willing to take and what I'm not willing to take.
Do you bill the job, or do they bill the job?
No, they bill the job. The firms I work for, I have my own clients, but even my own clients, I bill it through a firm in Houston. Yeah, I don't want to mess with any of that collection stuff or any of that. I just let them do it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather give them they take 15% and I get the rest. I'd rather them do that. Yeah. They give me 85 and they take 15.
So now is the deal that they pay you on bill out?
And that varies too. Some firms they pay you on bill out. Some firms pay you the 0-1 on bill out, and they don't pay your copy until they get paid. Some firms have cutoff periods, 15th and 30th, and then it may be a 4 to a 6 week thing before you get paid for those jobs. Every firm is different. There are firms that pay me every week on turn-in. There are firms that pay 2 weeks on turn-in. Every single firm I work for is different. So it's kind of hard. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to answer that question because every firm is different. So you have to get those things up front. You have to ask. I'll usually ask in the email. I'll say, please send me your rate sheet. A lot of firms have a rate sheet, so they'll send it to you. And I always ask for it, and then I look at it and say what I am willing and not willing to do. And if it's technical, I'm going to say I expect technical rate. If it's because if I have to take a Nigerian or if I have to take an Indian and it takes me forever to get that job out, that's technical. Even if it's a car wreck, if it takes me forever to get it out, that's technical. I'm not taking that for nothing. It takes too long to get that out. So it's always like a balancing act. You have to keep the firms happy, but at the same time, like Anita said, you got to be happy at the end of the day, right? And if you're putting in hours and hours and hours to get out a piece of crap transcript that you're making a little bitty price on, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not doing. I don't take those kind of jobs anymore. And you have to pick and choose. You have to pick and choose your battles too. I don't know, most of you, I know most of you are freelance. So do you ever even, some people don't even ask what the page rate is. Do y'all even ask? Or do you work for just one firm? Do most of y'all just work for one firm? Or do you work for a bunch? Do most of y'all work for national firms? Or little firms? Reporter-owned firms? Pretty large firms.
What do you call it?
Reporter-owned firms. Do most of you work for reporter-owned firms? What about you guys in Oklahoma? Or do y'all work for big national firms or?
We're officials.
Oh, you're officials. Okay, both of you. Okay. And what about you?
Small farm.
Small firm? Reporter owned?
Yes.
Do y'all find that it's easier working for reporter-owned firms than it is for the big conglomerate firms? What do you think?
Have they experienced with both?
You've had bad with both? Like, for example, like not paying you or?
Paying me the check wasn't good.
Oh, paying in the check wasn't good. That's scary. That's scary.
So it's kind of changed as far as, I know the two big firms in Fort Worth bought out by big firms. I think.
Like, which
Delores
big
Stewart, I think is now Veritech or something like that.
Veritex?
Or Depotex or something.
Depot, Texas has been buying out a lot of small firms. Depot, Texas. They're out of Houston. Veritex is out of New Jersey.
Okay.
And, you know, they came in and bought a bunch of smaller
One
firms.
was Depotex, one was Veritech.
Yeah, Veritex came in, I don't know if y'all realize this, but Veritex came in out of New Jersey. They, for a while, I know I worked for one of the larger firms too for a while, and they were using some of the other firms to do their work because they weren't licensed here. Then they decided, oh, why don't we cut out this middleman? So they decided to come and buy up some of the firms around Texas in different areas. And that way they could keep their name and they could keep their license number, their licensure, and be able to practice here in Texas. And that's what they did. And Depot, Texas is doing the same thing. So are y'all cognizant of being careful that when you're working for someone that you make sure they're licensed? Yeah, make sure that the people that you're working for the firm has a license. I always go and look. I always ask them, what's your license number? And I go on and look. Do y'all know where to go look to find out? Does everybody know where to look? Okay, it used to be the CRCB, right? Do y'all realize that we're now the Judicial Branch Certification Commission?
Well,
JBCC.
Speaking of that, when we go to turn in our stuff, where do we go?
Okay, we go to stateoftexas.gov. I think that's right. I gotta do mine next week.
Yeah.
I believe it's stateoftexas.gov if I'm not mistaken. Has anybody done that yet? Done your renewals for this year? I believe it's stateoftexas.gov if I'm not mistaken. And then you go find the Judicial Branch Certification Commission, JBCC, and you look for the Court Reporters tab. And there's a section in there, and it'll tell you what to do and how to turn in your stuff. And don't forget, when you turn in your stuff now, I don't believe they're doing audits anymore like they used to.
Okay.
But what they want you to do is the little forms that Jeff will give you that shows that you took this course and has that little course number on it. I believe it's like an 8-digit number or something. You need to send those in. So as soon as you fill out all the information online that you have to fill out and you pay online, then you need to send in your stuff showing that you took the courses. And that way, I think that's what they're doing now instead of auditing people. And then you need to make sure and keep that stuff for at least 3 years. Don't forget to keep it, just in case they come back and they forget to.
What do you like,
do
fax
something.
it or email it? Or?
You can fax or email. They have both down, and then they'll send you. And then once they've given you, they've re-licensed you, your name will appear online. There's like a list, and it shows that you're eligible. If your name is not on that list at the end of the year, when January 1 comes, you cannot go out there and work. Just make sure y'all know that. If your name is not on that list January 1, you cannot go out and work. It has to be on the list. And if you didn't get your license, you can. If you don't have your little license yet that they send you, as long as you're on that list, you're good. But if you're not on that list, you cannot take work until you get on the list or you get your license in the mail.
One time, I think it was a couple of years ago, they forgot to put my name on the list, but I did receive my license.
See, you're fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you pay just by a debit card or something?
Yeah. You know, I don't know about debit card. I know you can pay by credit card out there. I'm assuming that you can do
You
debit
just
card.
have to do a certified check or something?
Yeah, I know. You don't have to. You can do by credit card now. Because everything is, it's not the certification board anymore. It's all now through this JBCC. And so it's like we've become like interpreters, and anybody else who has an occupational license, we've kind of become just like those people. So we can do everything online just like they can. Yeah, except that we have a lot more stuff that we have to do with all of our CEs and everything that they don't have to do. So, but there's very explicit instructions on the JBCC exactly what you need to do. And remember, you have to this will constitute your whole 10 hours because this has got your ethics and the rest of your stuff. So
There
you've
was
got
a
everything
time
you
when
need.
you could do a fingerprint or something.
Yeah, the fingerprints, John, everybody's done that, right? All of you have done that. It's a one-time thing. You know, for a while they were gonna try to make us do that yearly, but that was outvoted.
Okay.
So once, if you've done it once, you're done. You're finished. You don't have to do that again.
Is it not under CRCB, Court Reporter Certification Board?
No.
No, they got rid of our certification board. Let's see, it's been 2 years? I think it's 2 years ago.
Because the last time I renewed 2 years ago was through.
The JVCC?
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago. It might have been 2.5 years. They got rid of it and they put us in with the interpreters and all that kind of stuff.
What is it now?
Judicial Branch Certification Commission, JBCC.
But if you Google Court Reporter Certification Board, it brings that.
It takes you, yeah, it takes you straight to that. Yeah, and it's very explicit. It's a little bit, the site to me is a little bit confusing. You have to really get familiar with, go to the court reporter tab, and you kind of have to hunt for things. It's not as easy. It used to be so simple, and now you got to kind of hunt. There's a section that says forms, and if you move, by the way, you need to make sure there's a form on there you have to fill out, and you have to send that in to keep them up current to where you live at all times. So you have to fill out that form and send it in. There's all the information you need those on that website. It's just, you gotta find it. And it is confusing. I had a hard time the other day. I was looking for some stuff and I'm like, where do I go? And it took me 20 minutes just to maneuver, and then it kept kicking me off. And I finally figured it out because I was trying to do the license renewal, just see what I needed to do. And it's kind of complicated. So you have to just really search on there through the tabs to get to where you need to go. And they have a list of the people who have had problems with their license. There's people who have been lost their license, all that kind of stuff. They have a list for that. They have a list for pretty much everything. It's all on there. So let's see, what else? Talked about New Jersey. So let's talk about let's talk about a few other things. When you go into a job, this is my ethics, okay? I kind of feel out the situation of when I walk into a room. Like Anita was saying, whether you can be humorous or not, you know. I try to make everything humorous because they can't get mad at you if they're laughing, right? So I try to make, even if I have to interrupt, I try to make things humorous. You know, it doesn't always work, but you know, it is what it is. But I always try to feel the room. You know, if everybody's antagonistic when you walk in, you feel that, right? You can cut the tension with a knife when you walk into a room. Excuse me. So I always try to feel the room and see what's going on around me. I'm going to give you an example. I had a deposition from hell about 3 months ago. It was 4 attorneys, and the witness was Vietnamese, and it was a contract litigation case. And I'm thinking, interpreter, we got an interpreter. Surely we've got an interpreter, because I'm listening to her talk. And I'm like, I have no idea what this woman's saying. And so I'm like, okay, we get in there ready to go, and I'm like, where's the interpreter? And they're like, oh, we don't have one. And I'm like, really? I said, are y'all sure she can speak clear English? And she's talking to me. Yeah, I have no idea what she's saying. Wow. And the attorney's looking at me like, did you get that? No. And so I told him several times, we really need an interpreter for this job. And the thing was, they didn't want an interpreter. They were trying to prove something that she was business savvy enough that people could understand her, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know, because it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, you either want a record or you don't, you know? And so several times I did what Anita said. You know, I interrupted, and I'd have her spell it. And several times I look at the attorney, did you understand that? What was that word? I have no idea. And then I look at her attorney, what? You know, and they would repeat it. I'm like, are you sure? And ma'am, is that what you said? And I was getting so frustrated. This went on for 300 pages. And then we had a volume 2. And that was another 200. And I thought I was going to die. It took me so long to get that job out. And I kept going, can you spell that? And I agonized over that job. Like, you know, she said, Dash, I'm an agonizer. I'm like, no, I got to get this word, you know. And so it was horrible, and I was like, please, can we please get an interpreter? And I stood up several times, and finally I stood up and said, okay, I just want to make this very clear to everybody. I'm doing the best job I can do. This is very horrendous. I don't understand half of what she's saying. I have dashes and inaudibles all over the place, and as long as you're all fine with that, then we can just keep going. But I just want you to know that half the time I don't understand what she's saying. And I put that on the record, and then I changed my end pages to say I did all this to the best of my ability. And I put a parenthetical in where I talked and said that on the stood up and said that on the record, because I didn't know what else to do, you know. So it happens. I mean, you know. And then about 3 weeks later, I had a different case, same situation, but a Korean woman. I was like, yuck, I'm cursed. I'm just cursed. I keep getting these jobs, and I was like, she needs an interpreter. I don't know what she's saying. But, you know, what are you going to do? They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to get an interpreter. So what are you going to do? It's do the best of my ability. I didn't walk out. I wanted to, especially on that Vietnamese lady. I really wanted to walk out on that one. But I didn't walk out. I was like, okay, I can make it. We'll be okay. And it did it to me forever. So I did charge extra on that job. It was my own client. And I was like, you know, that $450 pay rate just went up to $525. And he's like, okay, that's cool. I called him. I said, you know you're getting paid. I'm charging extra for this, right? He goes, I expect it. I'm like, I'm charging a lot. Is this okay? And he's like, no, that's cool. I was like, okay. So, you know, sometimes you just got to tell them, you know, that I'm charging extra for this. This was a horrible transcript. And I do that with the firms I work for. If I take a horrible transcript, I'm like, okay, you need to charge an extra 75 cents a page on this. It's horrible. And if they say something to me, I go, read the transcript. Go back and look at the transcript. And then sometimes they'll look at it and go, yeah, you're right. And sometimes they'll look at it and go, well, I didn't think it was that bad. I was like, well, you're not a court reporter. And this is what I expect to be paid for this job. You have to stand up for yourself. You know, you really do. And I think right now is the time to do that. Why? Because there's a shortage. There's people calling you every day for jobs. And if they don't get their jobs filled, they're upsetting their clients. I've had a couple of my clients, I've actually asked them to move their depots. I had 4 clients, and this never happens to me, but on 2 separate occasions, I had 4 clients schedule their jobs on the same day. And I have 2 people that help me out sometimes, and they were both booked. I called everyone I knew, I Googled, I Facebooked, I couldn't get 2 of them covered. And I finally called all 4 of the attorneys, and I said, look, here's my situation. I said, can you put this off till Friday? And one of them goes, oh, we'll do it Friday. And I said, are you sure? Call the other people and see if that's cool. He's like, oh, I know. He already told me we have these 3 dates available, so we'll just put it on Friday. I'll call him. Everything's good. So he moved it. I was like very fortunate. And then one couldn't move, and another one said, let me call the other side and see if we can do it. Can you do it tomorrow? I'm like, yes, I can do it tomorrow. And so I got people to move it around. I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I was desperate, you know. And so it's all about communication and how you handle things. And I think, you know, just like interrupting, like Anita was talking about, you know, I always try to make it humorous. I had a gentleman the other day, I can't remember the word now. It was a real technical medical thing. And he kept talking about this device, and I had no clue what he was saying. And I kept asking him to repeat, and I still didn't get it. It wasn't clicking, you know. And I'm like, what? And I thought, okay, I'm just going to make a note. I'm going to ask him at a break, you know. And I was just writing something. I didn't even know what I was writing. I put thing or something because I didn't know what it was. Thing. And then I went back and asked him, but I kept, you know, and I kept interrupting. And I was like, I can't keep doing this, you know. Can't keep interrupting. And they're like, thanks for you know, asking us at a break. That's cool. We'll give you all the spellings. And then finally, it was really cool because there was a lot of technical stuff. One of the attorneys just whipped out a sheet of paper, and I saw them over there. They just started writing things down for me. And I was like, oh, you guys are awesome. I said, why can't I always get clients like this? And they would make a list for you. And sometimes, you know, if it's really, if I walk in and I know it's technical, especially if I'm real timing, you know, I always, I don't know if any of you in here do real time? None of you? Just for yourself?
I mean, how does it work now? Is every job you go on real time?
She's asking if every job we go on is real time. No. A lot of people don't want to pay extra for real time, number one.
So it is extra?
It is extra. It does cost extra. Secondly, some people, it distracts them, and they don't like to write real time. The attorneys don't like it because it's just distracting for them. And sometimes, you know, it just depends. I find that most of the real time stuff I particularly do is patent litigation because it's very technical and they want to be able to look at it. Or if I have an attorney that's totally ADD, They can't sit still and can't remember things, and they need to look at that screen because they're like lost and never
And
know.
it's just your screen they're looking at?
No.
They have their screen?
No, here's what happened. Here's real time, okay? There's a couple of different, since none of y'all really do this, let me tell you what's going on with that. Typically real time, I have been using wires all this time. You know, I'm still kind of old school. I just started to switch over. I have my wires. I love my wires because they always work. Because there's a few places in Houston, there's a couple of buildings that you go into, and if you're wireless, they don't always work.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to the clients. And so since that has happened to me twice, I was on an arbitration in this one building, and my friend was doing wireless and I was wired. And every time I was hooked up, we were fine. When she was hooked up, only half the attorneys were getting the feed. And so by day 3, she had switched over to using my wires, and we were both using wires. And I think, you know, it's just certain places it just doesn't feed well. But I just started switching over. I have always taken my old computers that I use for work, and I always have my one computer I'm using, and then I have a mirror backup. That's my backup computer that I basically use for internet, because I try not to get on the internet with the one I'm using for jobs. I always have the one over here that I use for getting on the internet, and that's my backup.
You have them both set up?
And I have them, no, not at a job, but when I'm working at home, I do. And then I take all my old computers, and I just sort of clean them off and back everything off onto hard drives. And I've been using those computers as real-time computers. Well, I had I don't even know, I think I had 6 of those or 7 of those old computers. I have back to XP, Windows XP. I have and that's the best one. I still have that one, and it works great. I've had blue screens on a lot of them in the last year or two. And because sometimes I'll go to an 0 and 5, and it's so much easier to carry your own computers and know that they're going to hook up than to have to sit there and hook up everybody else's computer. Because here's what happens. When you're on wires and you're doing wires, if they have Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 7, XP, whatever Windows they have, most of the time they don't have a serial port on their computer if you're wired. And so I had to carry the USB to serial connectors, and those are specific. Windows 7, Windows 10, so you had to know what was for what. Well, what if I get to a job and this guy wants to hook up, and I've got 3 people on Windows 10, 1 person on Windows 8, I don't have enough connections. Those things are $60 a piece, you know? So I was like, okay, this is getting to be too much. I started getting all these blue screens on my old computers. I thought, okay, it's time to bury these and let them die a peaceful death. They've lived their useful purpose. So I went out and bought some iPads, which I have not hooked up yet. I just got them 2 weeks ago, and I've been working, so I haven't had time to hook them up. But most people now are using iPads or some other version of things. I bought 5 iPads at Micro Center, used ones, the bigger 9.7 screens, because I have a lot of older clients and they don't like the little minis because they can't see.
Yeah.
So they asked me to get the bigger ones, so I got the bigger ones. I got used ones, 150 a piece. So with all the equipment you have to buy, I bought that, and then I also bought a little modem, a travel modem from ProCat. It's a little tiny one that sets up, so I can set that up to my own computer and set everything to where it comes to through my computer out to them. And fiber is the most that I typically connect. But and ProCat, a lot of software now have.
And you're saying you're providing all those computers?
Yes, I'm providing all those. It's so much easier when you take your own, and you know it because you set everything up, you know it's working, and you've already got your software loaded. Like for ProCat, every software out there has their own software for the attorneys to receive the input, right? So Case Catalyst has, what is it called, CaseView Net, or I don't know what the new one's called. Yes, you know what it is?
Yeah, one of the firms I work with, they actually provide the laptops. The clients actually prefer that. So when I go on a board meeting or something like that, we may have about maybe 3 or 4 people that are hard of hearing and they need the, but KZV works really well. The only problem is that it has one size. Like the font, is that the same with yours?
Mine
make it bigger because they use the mini.
Right.
I'm like, well, this is small.
And it doesn't get mine. I'm on ProCat, and it does allow you. They use a different Denodo is what theirs is called instead of that CaseViewNet. It's Denodo for the computers, and they have CasePad for the iPads. and it does allow you to adjust. And then Eclipse has Bridge. So each software has their own that you get and you put on, and it's free. So you put those softwares on, and that is how the attorneys get the feed. And I try to take my own. Now, they can also use their own iPads, and they can download the software. They can use it on their phones, too. But it can't be a Droid. They have to have an iPhone. It doesn't work on Droids. None of this stuff works on Droids, just for y'all's information, in case you didn't know that. None of that stuff works on Droids. It only works on iPhones and iPads. Learned that the hard way. Because I have a Droid, and I was like, can't we use this? And they're like, it doesn't work for any of that. The communication is just too confusing, so they've got everything set for
And
iPads.
so now, it's just everything is so much technology.
It's very, she's saying everything is so much technology. I highly recommend for all of you that haven't done any technology classes that you take some technology.
Yeah.
I know that the Texas CS, Texas does their big conventions,
Okay.
they usually include technology. I actually went and took, NCRA has a really good program called the Real-Time Systems Administrator Program. And I don't know if all of you know Mike Miller, all of you know Mike and Susan. Mike usually does that seminar. It's very technical. He goes in and shows you like very step by step, this is what you need to do to connect. And then you take a test at the end and you become a real-time systems administrator. And they teach you how to hook up with wires, they teach you how to hook up wirelessly. It's just a very good thing to know in case you need to hook up, especially for you, those of you that are officials, if you're having to hook up for your judge. Do you guys write real time for your judge?
Yes.
And you don't have any problems hooking up? What software are you guys on? Catalyst? Cool. Are most of you here on Catalyst? Anybody on Eclipse? Eclipse. Anybody else on ProCat? You're on ProCat? Cool. StenoCat, Digital Cat, and a pen writer. I know a pen writer. You don't have to worry about software. He just writes it with a pen. I know, right? That would be great if we all could do that. I know, right? Just have a pen. But what happens if you run out of ink in the middle? I've always been curious. What do? You just have like 5 pens sitting there?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. Okay.
When I started, it was a pen staff with a nib.
Oh,
You had
yeah.
to dip it in the ink.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating to me. That's so fascinating. I can never do that. That's so fascinating. So a few things. So I want y'all to check if you have Dropbox in your computer. Now, I do have Dropbox in my Windows 10. It was already installed, and it seems to be working fine. So I think it's with Windows 7 that there's an issue. So if you have Windows 7 and Dropbox, you may want to think about taking that Dropbox out of there. How are you guys, do all of you guys use Scopus? Anybody use Scopus? Anybody in here?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
You said Dropbox is no good.
No, I'm not saying it's no good. I'm saying it automatically updates itself. Yeah, what is Dropbox? Okay, she's asking what is Dropbox. Okay, there are.
I'm just antique.
It's okay. So let's say, what is Dropbox? Dropbox is a software where it's like a sharing software. So if you are on Eclipse or Catalyst or whatever, you can take your, I'm gonna use it from ProCat standpoint because that's what I'm on. But in ProCat, if I'm on a real-time job and I want my Scopus to be working behind me, it says a daily copy, okay? It'll automatically drop itself. My software will drop the whole audio, the whole thing into Dropbox every so 20 minutes or so. Okay? And that way I'm sharing it. I'm allowing my Scopus, and it could be more than one, to be able to go in and pull that file, and then they make their corrections and they send it back to me, and it'll upload itself back. So it's a share, file sharing is what it is. There are other things too besides that, but Dropbox seems to be the most popular. And a lot of videographers, when they do your audio, they'll send it to you in Dropbox. There's another one now that I've been getting, Hightail. I like that one better because that one doesn't do any weird uploads.
That's what we use.
Is that what you use? Yeah, that one seems to be much better. I haven't had, knock on wood, I haven't had any issues with that. But Dropbox, for some reason, it just goes in and does weird stuff. It starts doing updates.
Send it to a Scopus or something?
Yes, you can send it to a Scopus. Like I actually use sendthisfile.com. I don't know if any of you guys use that. There's a paid version. It's like $4.95 a month, and you can send it to your Scopus. And it's you need to make sure whatever you're using. Y'all are following HIPAA regulations. Everybody knows about HIPAA, right? About the HIPAA regulations. So you need to make sure.
In the last couple of years?
Well, probably last 5 maybe, 3 to 5. Are y'all following HIPAA? Everybody doing that?
No, tell me
So,
what that is. I mean,
okay, HIPAA, okay, I'm glad you're telling me this stuff, because if you don't know, tell me, okay, because I don't know who doesn't know what. But HIPAA regulations, you've got everybody's medical stuff. So if you're taking a medical deposition, any deposition, you've usually got social security number, birthday, all the stuff that's needed for somebody to steal somebody's identity.
Yeah.
So if you don't shred your stuff when you're done with it, I always shred everything. If you've got everything on if you put it on a disk, it needs to be password protected. If you put it, if you're carrying your computer in your car, which is a really bad idea, then you need to make sure that everything's protected on there, that you've got the disk with you, but it's on your computer, right? So if somebody steals your computer, they've got people's information. So you need to let your firm know right away so they can let the firms know of all the stuff that you've got on your computer. And think about all the stuff we have on our computers, how dangerous that is. So it's really important that everything be password protected so that they can't get a hold of it. And so when I send files to my Scopus, I don't send files just through email or anything. For number one, you can't send your audio through an email. It's not large enough. So you want to send this file or Hightail or Dropbox, any of those things to send your files to your Scopus. But you want to make sure that it's encrypted. And I send this file. I do the $4.95 a month pay, and everything's encrypted. And I even have my Scopus send it back to me through that same thing, so that it's encrypted. And then you don't have to worry about anybody, how people can come in and steal stuff off your computer. They can come in and steal those files. So you just have to be careful that everything's encrypted.
So you can't turn Dropbox off? You can't turn it off to update?
My understanding now, see, this is the first time I had ever had Dropbox on my computer, so I didn't even know what Dropbox was, frankly. I found out afterwards. But I was told that in Windows, I had Windows 7, that Dropbox has this thing where it automatically does updates. It was updating itself during my job because there was wireless in that room. And so it was updating itself while I was doing my job. And so that's what shut me down, because it updated and then just shut down my real time, shut everything off.
Well, I haven't got that far into the audio, but I'll send a transcript, so I'm not that techy.
I highly recommend all of you take some technical classes, especially if you haven't done real time. And if you're doing are all of you doing real time for yourselves, I hope? It cuts down on your editing time a lot. And I want to know, what keeps you guys from doing real time?
Patent law litigation. That's
Right?
frightening to me.
It is frightening. It is frightening.
The tech part, if it fails, I told somebody I'd do a real-time job, and they all show up late, and they want you set up now.
I have a rule. If they want real time, I say anybody who wants real time, you must be 30 minutes early so I can get you connected.
I like that.
But the other thing I do is to stop all that. I started carrying my own stuff.
That's the solution. I love the iPad.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but I charge them. I'm having to carry my own stuff, and they're right. I had to pay for all my own stuff, so it's $50 a day to use my computer.
Oh,
$50
on
a
top
day
of the
for each
extra
person.
page rate.
Heck yeah, $50 a page for each computer I have to carry, no matter what it is, iPad, computer, whatever it is. It's $50 for, like, if 2 people from one firm are using 2 different iPads, $50 an iPad. It's $50 per iPad. And don't let the firms try to screw you over on this, because this is what's happening out there. They're saying, oh, well, you're letting this firm over here is using 3 iPads, so we're only going to charge $50. No, that's $150, excuse me. And then they're also trying to not let you charge real time for all 3 of those. No, they're all 3 seeing the real time. They all 3 have their own iPad. I'm charging per iPad, whether they like it or not. That's wrong. And they're trying to get away with that. Not only that, but did y'all know that there are firms out there that cap how many copies you get on big jobs? Have y'all run into that yet? Oh yeah, I ran into that. Yeah, that didn't happen. I had an 0 and 12, which you never get, right? Had this 0 and 12 job, and they were capping me at 6. I got my paycheck, and I'm like, what is this? Where's the other copies I'm supposed to be being paid for? Oh, no, this is our, Why are you telling me that you're capping me at 0 and 6? I had 11 people there. I sold 11 copies. Why am I only getting paid for 6? So you need to be really careful. You need to be watching your pay. Do y'all even look at your pay statements to make sure they're paying you properly?
Yep.
You need to be watching it because you can't trust anybody. I'm sorry, but you just can't. You just can't. You need to make sure you're checking your pay and make sure that's correct.
Yeah.
If they reimburse you for parking, make sure they didn't forget your parking. You know, most of them still do reimburse parking. I don't think anybody's paying tolls anymore. That went out about 20 years ago, but for a while they were paying tolls. They don't do that anymore. But and if I have to sit there more than 30 minutes, I charge an hourly fee. If they take these crazy breaks where they're taking an hour every 30 minutes, I'm charging hourly too. If they go less than 50 pages, I'm also charging an hourly rate.
What about for interpretive depots? Twice as long.
I know, and you know, I usually charge 25 cents a page extra for that. I know it should be more, it really should, but they're not gonna pay that. No.
So
No matter how hard
if
you
you've
try.
been out of the loop on all this technology, where do you go to get all this training?
The best, she's asking where do you go to get all this training for technology if you've been out of the loop. The best thing to do is join NCRA, TCRA, read the Journal of Court Reporting. There's lots of technical articles in there that help you. I read that stuff all the
Oh,
time.
you're talking about the magazine?
Yes, the magazine. The Journal of Court Reporting has lots of awesome articles, technical articles.
Like the TCRA or the?
No, NCRA.
Okay, yeah.
The Journal of Court Reporting, NCRA. They always have techie articles in there that tell you things that are happening that you need to watch for, things that are happening with different software. And then join your Facebook groups about your software because that's the best source. Your peers is your best source because everybody's working with it every day, and you may run across something that's happening to you that it happened maybe to 1 in 10 of you because maybe the 2 of you are on the same brand of computer. It's not happening to anybody else but the 2 of you, and you're on that same brand of computer. So it's really helpful to join those groups because then you help each other out.
So I'm just curious, because I'm hearing you say they charge for real time. How and what do you charge for real time?
Charging for real time?
You charge for page, you charge for appearance fee too?
No. Typically, she's asking about charges for real time. Typically, what you do for real time is whatever your page rate is that the firm is charging, you get also paid so much per page for, there's different kinds of real time. Do y'all know that? There's kind of, they call them a little bit different things, okay? So if I'm doing real time and I'm taking my own iPads out there, okay, and they're not making notes and stuff in there because they're not going to keep that. That's my iPad, right? Okay, so they're viewing. That's a viewing fee, viewing real time fee, okay? There's also interactive real time. If they are bringing their own iPad or their own computer and they're hooking up and they're mostly probably making notes and marking things in their computer, okay, that's interactive real time. That's a different fee. And then you may have somebody who just wants a rough draft at the end. So typically, real time in my experience, you've got the interactive where they're taking the rough draft. If they're using their own computer, they automatically have a rough, right? So they've got a rough in their computer and they're viewing it at the same time if they're using their own. So that's like full real time. That's like $2.50 a page extra. Some firms charge more than that, $2.50, $2.75. And then you have the people who are just viewing because they're looking at your own computers, right? I mean, your computer, and they're not taking it with them, so they're not getting a rough draft. So that's just a viewing fee. That could be $1 a page, $1.50 a page, depends on the firm. And then you also have the people who want, they're viewing it, but they want a rough draft too, and that you're going to send them at the end. So that's just like interactive. $2.50, whatever you're going to charge, you're going to send it to them at the end of the day. Now here's a good question for y'all. Are you cleaning up your rough drafts?
Yes.
I have a question about that. You're cleaning up your rough drafts? How are you leaving steno in there at all?
No.
You're completely cleaning? Why? Why are you cleaning up your rough drafts?
Well, I've had a people call and ask me, the judge wants a rough draft.
She's saying the judge wants a rough draft?
I'll go through and clean up my trash, but I'm not going to put punctuation and capitalize and look up words.
She's going to clean up her trash, but not put punctuation, look up words.
I'm not, I just send it like that. I mean, he's not gonna pay me for it.
Right, you're not getting paid for it. Yeah, because you're working for a judge, right? You don't get paid, do you get paid extra for providing real time to your judge, or
I
no?
don't have a judge.
Okay.
I work for officials. And,
Gotcha.
I mean, if I'm working and I have other stuff to do and your judge is asking me for a rough draft, I'll just give you a rough draft.
Got you.
And I'll go through and clean it to where my trash isn't in here.
Okay.
Other than proofing and editing.
Okay, she doesn't proof edit, just cleans up her trash. What do the rest of you do? What do
All I do is
you clean it up? Do you go take out all your notes that you've made to yourself or to your scopus or whatever? Do all that?
I edited.
People. It's a rough draft. It is a rough. I go, you want it right now? Okay.
Here.
Give me a thumb drive. Here you go, it's rough. Now, do you want a clean draft? If I'm on
There's
it,
different charges for all that?
no, I mean, you get charged, they get charged for a rough draft.
Okay.
And then typically, it's $1.50 depending on the firm. Could be 75 cents, just depends on the firm.
And then they don't get a real transcript?
They must get, y'all aren't giving away rough drafts with no selling the real transcript, right? Please tell me you're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, if they want a rough draft, that's fine, but they have to order the final. I have had people try to order just the rough draft and not get the final. I'm like, oh no, that's not happening. No, if you want the transcript, if you want a rough draft, that's cool, but you gotta order the final.
Yeah.
I've had people also in depots.
Have it right then.
Right. I've had people in depots also try to just order excerpts of the depot. And so here's my response, and one of my attorneys loved this response. I said, so this is like you going to a movie, and instead of paying for the whole movie, you're only going to pay for those parts you liked? So you may have liked 2 scenes of that movie, and you just want to pay for that? I don't think so. It's the whole thing or nothing. Just like the movies. You don't get to walk in there and say, oh, well, that movie sucked. I only like 2 parts of it. I'm only giving you $2 for that movie. You're not going to do that, right? So I'm not going to let you do that on a transcript. It's the whole thing or nothing. So it's the same concept. I don't do excerpts of depositions unless they're ordering the whole thing.
Yeah.
If they're ordering the whole thing and they want parts.
Did you give him a break yet?
Oh, no, what time is it? You know me, I forget about time.
I don't see him start to weave, so.
We need a break, let's take a break. Let's take a chocolate break.
Action.
Action. Okay, hi guys, we're back. So I have a few things to talk about. Somebody when we were off the video, asked me a couple things. First of all, order forms. Now for those of you in Oklahoma and Pennsylvania, right? Pennsylvania. I don't know if you do the same thing. Well, you're officials, so you won't have to do this. But for freelancers here in Texas, the majority of us, we take order forms with us for the attorneys to sign. And you were asking about that. Typically, most firms want everyone to sign, including the taking attorney. Some firms say you don't have to have the taking attorney sign. I frankly like everyone to sign. And if somebody balks about signing, I just say, no signing, no copy. Simple as that. You don't sign, you don't get a copy, period. And if they want to say it on the record, I'll say, well, if you want to put it on the record, tell me exactly what you want. For everybody to see, that's cool too. The record's even better. And I'll put it on the record.
And some of them want to read and sign, so they want you to send it to their office so their witness can.
Right. He's saying sometimes they don't want to order, but they want you to send it to their office for the witness to read and sign. See, we have all these crazy laws here in Texas, which really kind of suck because a lot of times we lose out on a copy, right? Because they basically get a free copy. I try to work around that. I have kind of trained my personal clients. If the opposing side says, well, you have to release it so that the witness can sign it, my attorneys will usually say, that's cool, but I'm going to charge you the same thing she's going to charge you because my paralegal has to stop what she's doing and make copies of this for you so that your person can read it. So I'm going to charge you the same thing she does, so you need to get it from her so she can make the money on it. And then I just have the order form sitting there and I just go, here you go ahead and sign with a smile. Usually they sign. I usually sell copies. I very seldom have own ones. I just stick the order form in front of them. I don't give free copies. Here you go. I never had a problem. Every once in a while you run into somebody who's like, well, no, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I go, sure, go ahead. And then I go over to the other side and I say, don't you dare give him a copy. I'll be charging you 0 and 2. And I'll do it too. I'm charging you for that one too. If you're not going to give them my work product, I'm sorry, it ain't happening. And so, once you educate them, it's all about education.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They don't realize. So once you, and I always make a point of this, this is what happens. You got this lawsuit, and plaintiff attorney is pretty much getting away without having to pay a lot, right? Because these people are having to defend themselves, and they're having to pay for all these transcripts. Plaintiff attorney is getting it for free. Why should they get free transcripts? But the defendant's attorney sometimes doesn't think about things like that. And so what I do is, and I usually will catch them after a job or before a job, and if it's somebody I've not worked with before, and I'll just tell them, I'll say, are you educated on read and sign? And they'll kind of look at me funny, what do you mean? And I'll say, well, that the other side can say they don't want to order a copy, and then we're supposed to send them a read and sign copy, or they have to get it from you. And I don't want you giving them a free copy. And so this is, and I'll tell them, I'll just say, look, this is what my own personal clients do, and I would appreciate it if you would do the same thing, because this is basically my work product, and I don't know about you, but you're paying for this. Why should they get a free copy and your client's having to pay for it? And when you put it to them on those terms, your client's having to pay for this, and they're getting a free copy, and they're the ones being sued, they go, oh, light bulb. Like, oh, hell yeah, why am I footing the bill for this other person's lawsuit? And it kind of clicks. They don't really think about things in those terms. All it takes is education. Once you talk to them about that and they see that, then usually they'll say, oh no, you need to get that from her. If you're, and most of my clients do that. They'll say, hey, no, you need to get it from her. Sure, you want to come to my office, that's fine, but I'm going to charge you. And so, that's just the way I've been handling things. I really haven't had too much trouble with that. Usually make everyone sign if they want a copy, or put it on the record. If I have a whole bunch of people, this is what I do. For example, that job where I had 15 people on the phone, it was a federal case, and you know how you're supposed to put all the appearances on the record? Well, we had 15 people on the phone. That is not happening. So what I do is have everybody in the room state their appearance, and then I put a parenthetical on the record, and I say it out loud. For all of you on the phone, this is my email address. Give them my email address and say, I would like for each of you to please send me your appearance for the record via my email, who you represent, all your firm's information, and your order. If you want a rough draft and how quick you need it, whatever it is you need for your order, please send it in your email. And then I look at my phone as they're sending them, and at a break, I'll say, I received these emails. Am I missing anyone? Did anybody join later that needs to state their appearance? And please send it to my email. And I check, and then I print all those off, and then I have their orders in writing. And I attach those when I send in my stuff to the order forms with the job to the firm. And then I don't have any issues because it's in writing. And then everybody present, when there's that many people, I'll either pass around a sheet, or I'll just say, do you guys want to state your orders for the record? Especially if I've been doing this case for a long time, and they've been signing, I'm like, you just want to put it on the record? And I'll say, Mr. Smith, and I let him state it. Mr. Jones, state it. Mr. Whoever, state it. And they just go through and put it on the record, and then we don't have all those papers flying around. And then I just tell the firm all their orders are on the record. This is how many, 0 and 11, standard order. And by that point, everybody's got a standard order, and everybody knows what it is. And then you don't have to mess with all that paper.
That's in the transcript?
I'm sorry?
Put it in the transcript?
Yes, I put that in the transcript. Anytime I say anything, like Anita said, if she's clarifying something and asking them, for a spelling or something, I don't insert myself on the record. I don't put it on there. But if it doesn't make sense without me putting myself on, then I'll go ahead and put it if I need to. But if it's just clarifying something, I don't put myself on the record. The bad thing about that, though, is in this day of when they're trying to sync things, it kind of messes up the sync sometimes. Now, I have a question for you guys. I had a situation which kind of threw me for a loop, and my first thought was no, but I want to see what y'all would have done. I had my own client took a deposition of this mistress. It was a divorce case, okay? So we took the mistress. We had the wife and the soon-to-be ex in the same room, and the mistress did not have an attorney. And The other two sides had attorneys, were taking this deposition. And at the end of her statement sometimes, she would kind of mumble something. And I was sitting practically on her lap and I could not hear. And so, but I knew she said something, but she mumbled it so softly that I couldn't hear it. It was a videotape deposition. I'm not going to go back to the videotape and listen. I'm not doing it. So if I could tell she said something and I didn't hear it, I would put mumbling, at the end of my statements, because that's all I heard was mumbling, I'm not going to go back and listen, right? But I would ask her, and usually she would just move. That's what I heard. I'm like, okay. So mumbling, right? So about a month later, after I got this transcript out, my client called, and she's like, clearly she called me a bitch on the record. And I'm like, where? And she said, oh, it was at the end of such and such statement. And I go back and I look in the transcript and I go, well, I didn't hear it. And she's like, well, it's on the video. And I'm like, well, that's why you took a videotape. I said, I'm not going to go back and listen to that videotape and write all those endings of where she's mumbling, because my own ears didn't pick it up. Your ears didn't pick it up. Because if you would have heard that at the time she called you a bitch, you would have pitched a fit on the record. And you didn't. So you're hearing it on the videotape. That's not the record. I'm the record. And I didn't hear it. So I'm not writing it. And she wanted me to go back and change all that. What would y'all have done?
I agree with you.
I said
You
no.
asked her for clarification.
Yeah. I was like, the record is the record. My record is it. I'm not going to go back. She was a little bit irritated, and I said, you can bring that stuff up and you can play it off the video. You've got it. What would you have done?
I was going to say that has happened to me before, where the client came back and they said this, and I didn't hear it because it was mumbling like that. And the firm that I was telling you about that wasn't reporter-owned or national, it was owned by a non-court reporter.
Yeah.
They made me send out a revised transcript to add that mumbling that was heard on the video. Like, we literally, even the video, we had to really,
Bull. I'm not doing it.
try to hear it.
Yeah.
It was even hard to understand, even listening to the video.
Really? I'm just not going to
Right here.
I'm just not going to do it. I mean, I figure if I can't hear, I'm the record, right? If I can't hear it and I'm sitting next to her, then, and the video picked it up, the video is not the official record. I am. So I told her, if you need to play it back from court, you need to play it back from the video. I said, and clearly I have some, it's not like I put a dash there. I clearly put mumbling because clearly she said something under her breath. But it was under her breath. I mean, how are we supposed to write stuff that people are saying under their breath? We can't.
And clearly she didn't want anybody to hear it.
Exactly. Clearly she didn't want it to be heard. I mean, she called her a bitch. I mean, I'm like, surely if you would have caught that, you would have stopped her right there, and you would have said something. I mean, so, and I never changed it. I haven't heard anything back. And the firm was, they thought about having me change it, and I said, I'm not changing it. I said, we can send out an errata sheet, and she could go in and fill where she's hearing those. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it.
I suggested that, and they made me send out a revised one.
And that was one of those firms you said that are owned by a non-court reporter. Now, this is what she was asking me about this off the record too. Off the video, sorry, I keep saying off the record, it's habit. But she was saying, what about these firms that are owned by non-court reporters, and not just the big firms, but the little firms? There's a lot of firms out there owned by videographers. They don't really know what we do. I had a videographer firm that I did some work for, and I was friends with them, but I had to stop doing it because I was so annoyed. Because, the videographer thought she was God's gift to the court reporting world and would go back and read my entire transcript and give me changes. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, what you see is what you get. That is the record, and it's not being changed. And she would do stuff like, there should have been a comma right here. There should have been, and I'm like, who are you, the English police? I don't think so. I'm like, no. I've always been a court reporter for over 20 years. You were a videographer. I don't think so. You didn't even major in English, thank you very much. You didn't even graduate high school. I don't think so. I'm like, this is just ridiculous. So that somebody would come along and try to make you change the transcript. Now, some of those big firms, I don't know if any of you work for those big firms. I have worked for some of the big firms. I do work for Veritex sometimes. Veritex pays well. Their minimum is $340 in Texas. And if you're not getting at least $340, you're talking to the wrong person. Because that is their minimum in Texas. That's the minimum that you get to take home. Now, and they pay pretty well, and they usually have pretty decent stuff. There are other big firms that I refuse to work for anymore that I worked for a very long time for various reasons, which I will not get into, but I don't work for them any longer. And they are starting to change their rates. I asked them to change their rates for 15 years, and they kept saying, oh, we can't change our rates. And now they're starting to change their rates. And because some of their rates are ridiculous, like $260 for an insurance job, your take home $260. Usually it's an 0-1 job. I'm not working for that. You know, I don't know if any of you work for that. And I think the problem is people are starting to fight that, and now they can't get their jobs covered because people don't want to take that. Unless it's a baby reporter that doesn't know any better. And if you're a baby reporter who's gone out with me, you know better. If we train our baby reporters not to take that, they won't take it. We have to take these newbies out there and train them and say, this is what you should be working for, and this is what you shouldn't be working for. This is the kind of thing you should be doing, and this is what you should not be doing. And it's because they don't know any better that they do this, and then it undermines the rest of us.
Yeah.
Just like cleaning up your rough drafts. No. You can take out your steno, but don't edit it. Don't take the time to edit it. It's a rough draft. I was in Anita's seminar for that 4-day workshop she was talking about in Vegas, and I was so annoyed. There was a bunch of real-time reporters in there that from other states, and I actually said, you are the reason that we have these problems, because all of you are cleaning up your transcript. A rough draft is a rough draft. You know what? A rough draft is you get it when I'm done. You're wanting it right now. Here you go. You know, it's not like, you know, especially, let's say, for example, I'm on this case all week. It's a patent litigation. You're working your butt off. When you get through at 5 o'clock, all you want to do is go home and go to bed. You're so tired, your brain hurts, you can't think. And I'm not going to go home and clean up a 300-page transcript and then have to get up and be up the next morning to do it all over again and have to do that 5 days a week. I'm not doing it. You're going to get what you get. And so if you're doing that, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You're making yourself more exhausted than you need to be. And you're doing a disservice to the profession, because a rough is a rough. A rough is not a cleaned up transcript, almost perfect transcript. There are people that are sending it to their scopist, and they're doing the whole thing. So by the end of the day, they're getting almost a perfect transcript at the end of the day. So they think that's a rough. That's what's happening here. They think that is a rough draft, and then that affects all of us. And they expect us to go hit print. I actually had an attorney say, well, don't you just go hit print?
Yeah.
And, oh my God, I almost came unglued. I was like, okay. I said, sit down. Let's talk about this. I said, you see this transcript right here? I said, I'm going to tell you this. For every hour that you're on the record, it takes me 3 hours to get this transcript done. You know why? Because you're talking like a bat out of hell. You're talking all over this guy. I'm having to go back and listen to these places where you're all over each other and fill it in. I have to go look up the things you don't spell for me. You spelled Smith, but you didn't spell some crazy name that you said to me, and I have to go find. And I'm like, duh. I'm like, 3 hours per hour on here. And they're like, you're kidding me. And I'm like, no, that is just. I wanted them to think, that's how long it takes to get a transcript done. I said, then it has to go through production. All these things have to happen. I said, so when you're telling me that you think I just go hit print, that's insulting. Yes, I'm a good writer, but no, I'm not that good. I'm not. None of us are perfect. We all have to go back and fix things in our transcript. And for me, I've had a rough year. I closed my school. For those of you who don't know, I closed my school in December because I could not get my enrollment up. And I had double surgery the day after I closed my school. So I have been trying to get back into the groove, and I have problems with anesthesia. So I have memory problems from that. So I can't focus. So I haven't taken a real-time job this year. But I've taken one because I wanted to see if I could really do it and not be afraid because of my memory issues. And I caught myself writing the conversation out in the hall instead of the conversation in front of me. So I have not done a real-time job this year because I don't want to upset someone and then looking at the screen going, oh my God. Yeah. And it was one of my regular clients, and she was cool, but I was like, I was not cool. I was like, this is not cool. I'm not, I'm not ready for this yet. I got to get my head back on, and I got to get the anesthesia out of my system. So, there are times when I blank my screen out on real time. You know, they're not, I know none of y'all are writing real time, but they're not really looking at your screen. You'd be surprised. Most of the time, I mean, I have this one client who orders real time every single time. I think she's read back from that screen in a year and a half once. She actually went, oh, let me go, what? And she went back and she's like, and read it, and I was like, wow, that's the first time I think she's ever looked at my screen. You know, it's the first, in all that time that she's looked at it. And then you have people, if they have like 2 attorneys from the one firm, you may have the little associate attorney watching your computer, and then they're laughing when things come by, and they're grinning, they're looking at you. And you're like, you know, and I'll tell them, I'm like, I'll fix that later, and you know, and I write notes. You know, I know there are reporters who don't do that, but I write notes. If they're, on my machine, on my computer, I'll just write notes. So, like, let's say for example, they're talking too fast. I have this thing that I write that's, it's huge. It comes up on my screen really huge, and it says, "You're going too fast. Slow down." I have another one that says, "Stop speaking all over each other," and it's huge. It comes out on my screen really big. I have it really big. And if they're doing that, I write it and I point. And because I don't want to interrupt their train of thought, but I want them to see, stop, you know, slow down. And I'll tell them during a break too, but I just write it on my computer. And then I write notes to my scopist, or like if they say something and it's not clicking with me, especially in a patent litigation and I may not know what they're talking about, I'll write notes to myself, like, oh, back there, that was this.
Yeah.
And I put it in parentheses so that I can go back. And then that also lets the attorney know, oh, she caught it. I don't need to worry, she caught that. She knows what I was talking about. And they realize, I mean, I write notes. And I asked an attorney one time, I said, do you mind if I write these notes? No, it lets me see that you know what you're doing. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I write notes to my scopist. I'm like, back there, that should have been spelled this way.
Yeah.
It came out Kathy with a K, it should be Kathy with a C or something. I write notes all the time. And then you were talking about, let's see, what else was it real time? You were asking me something.
Do you have to be certified?
No, actually, here's the deal with real time. If you were working in the federal courts here, in any federal courts, you must be real time certified. Only in the federal courts. Otherwise, you do not have to be. And we do have a real time certification in Texas, for those of you who didn't know. If you go to one of the big conventions, the Texas conventions, you can actually, if you sit in on that real time session, you can actually take the test. You don't have to turn it in. If you turn it in, then they charge you to grade it. It's like that, what is it, 120, I think. But if you just want to take it just to see, you know, how you're feeling, you can take it for nothing. They started doing that about 3 years ago. And
What test is this?
the real time exam. The Texas real time, yes, the Texas real time exam.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take it and not have to pay for it just for
What's the
practice.
speed on
It is at 200. Oh, they just changed it. It's 200 Q&A. It used to be 200 jury charge or literary, and now it's 200 Q&A. And you have to pass it at 96%. And what happens is they give you some of the spellings ahead of time for you to go in and put the spellings in. And then they do a 7-minute take. You don't know what part they're grading. You write for 7 minutes, you back up, they come around, you put your thumb drive in or your little SD card, and then you hand it to them. You don't get to touch it. So you don't get to like reach up. You don't even have time to reach up and do anything.
It used to be Q&A was $225.
That's on the regular CSR, but the real time is at 200. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't know. Yeah. So you can take that through Texas, and I mean NCRA still has all their RPR, all that stuff. But Texas does have one now too. You can take that one, and that one allows you also to work in federal court. The Texas one. Because Texas court, I know that there was a friend of mine who had been working on this big case, and the reporters in that particular court were upset because she came in to take the deposition because they wanted real time. She wasn't real time. She wasn't real time certified, and so they had to use the other person. They weren't too pleased, but we all just have to get along, right? We just have to try to be nice to each other and get along, and learn from each other. That's important. Let's see there's some other things. Oh, another thing you can really help do, which I think is awesome, is if you all help train attorneys. y'all were like, I get it, for some reason, I seem to have a lot of new baby attorneys. The last like 6 months, I've had a lot of new attorneys. Brand new. I mean, I had one the other day. He was sitting in. He didn't know if he'd passed yet, but they had him in there. He was pro hac vice. And he was the only attorney. They didn't have another one in there with him. But he was in there all by himself. And, and he would ask me questions, because he's brand new, And so at breaks, he would kind of call me out in the hall. Did I do that right? So that kind of stuff. So it's okay. It's actually great if you try to help train the attorneys. When I had my school, I took students out to do mock depositions. A lot of the larger law firms, they have mock depositions or mock trials, and they will ask usually students, sometimes actual reporters, because we don't have enough students right now to do these, and they'll have you come in and they'll have all these, I call them baby attorneys, I know they hate that, but baby attorneys, the younger attorneys come in and they portray all these different things, and what they would do with us is I would have my students take the depositions, and they were like 45 minutes, there's like 3 or 4 of them at a time, and they would take these depositions, and my students would take them and go ahead and do the transcripts within a week. I gave them a week to do the transcripts. And then, but when we were done, we would give feedback to the new attorneys and let them know, you're talking way too fast, or you're talking over each other, or the big one, okay. Doesn't that drive you crazy? Yes, drives me nuts. They go, drives me crazy. So we would catch those things and let them know. And I told my students, put it in the transcript. Put it all in the transcript. Just like as video, all of it, on every word. So they can see what they're doing wrong. That's the whole point. And so we would talk to them, and then they would tell my reporters what they did wrong. Because, I mean, they're babies. They're learning. And then they would have the attorney, the senior attorney, tell them what they did wrong, because they were sitting in too. And they would have me sit in. And so we would say, okay, now, this is for all of you. My students, this is what you were doing wrong. You didn't stop him when he started flying at 360 words a minute. You were over there pounding and banging, and you didn't even stop him. You just let him go on. You threw your hands up, and I'm like, "Are you gonna do that in a job?" And then you'd have the attorneys talking like a bat out of hell, and I would say, do you expect them to take that down? When you're talking 360 words a minute. And the other person's going, through the whole thing. I said, do you really expect us to take that down? And so, we just kind of go over things with them and kind of show them. And I still do that with attorneys if I know they're kind of new. Sometimes, a lot of times the firm will know. And, for me, I don't know why, but they seem to send them to me. And they'll tell me ahead. They'll tell the firm, then they'll tell me, you got a baby attorney, and they're going to need guidance, whatever. And so I usually will know. And they don't know I know. And so usually at breaks, I'll say, hey, just so you know, without anybody else in the room, I never do this in front of anybody. But I'll say, I know that you're new, and I was asked to help you out. And I just want to give you a few pointers, things that you might not realize that you're doing. And just to help you out, like the okay thing, or the thing, or maybe they're interrupting and they're not letting the witness finish their sentences. Or maybe it's interpreted and they're not letting the interpreter get out the full interpretation before they interrupt. That kind of thing. And I'll just kind of school them on that a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. If we would all do that, we would have much easier time with our depositions. So I highly recommend you do that. And if somebody calls you to do mocks, please help out sometimes, because we don't have enough students to do those. And sometimes they'll pay a little bit, maybe pay parking or give you food. A lot of times they'll give you food, they won't pay you, but they'll give you food and pay your parking. And it's an opportunity for you to educate the young attorneys so that we don't have these people coming up talking 360 words a minute during a depo. Any questions? Anybody want to talk about anything specific?
Okay, real time is something I'm obviously a little bit intimidated by. Or the rough draft, you're saying you just let it go. So do you stop them when they're reading? I always think if I have a document, you do? I stop them.
If they're reading along, especially if they're doing this number and I'm like struggling, I'll stop them. I'll say, wait, I had somebody do that the other day. I swear he was going 500 words a minute. I had no idea what he said. And I was like, whoa. what the heck? I said, no. I said, take it away from your mouth and slow down so I can write it. And so, and he did, and he started getting faster, and I was like, whoa, 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 slow back down again. And so, and I try to do that. I'll also make myself a note, go back and look at the document. I have a little thing that says, look at the document, that I just hit my
So
voice
if
straight.
that's all the way through your transcript at times,
Mm-hmm.
do you just let that go as a rough draft and you
Yep.
got a parenthetical, go back and look at the
Look at
document?
the document. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't use quotes. I know a lot of people do all that quoting crap. No. I don't use quotes. I use a colon. Colon and cap the next word and boom. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to go back and look at the document. I don't have to do all that. Now, if it doesn't make sense not to quote it, if you're reading along and it makes absolutely no sense if you don't quote these two little things right there, then quote it. But if they're reading off all these documents, I'll just put a colon. If they're reading it and it's like all paragraphed and everything because it's long or something, I may put reading in parentheses.
I was
Just
wondering
put
about
reading.
that, because I've heard a couple of court reporters say they don't quote
Yeah,
anymore.
no time. I'm not going to mess with that. No time for
So you
that.
put
Especially when I'm real
colon?
timing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah,
Colon,
Captain X.
reading, and then
Um,
the words
yeah.
that they read?
especially if it's long. If it's just like, he said, I went to the store. He said, colon, I went to the store. I'm not quoting that. And then she said, well, you didn't really go to the store. You went to PetSmart. I'm going to put colons and I'm not going to worry about it. I may paragraph it and put a colon because it's a different speaker. But I don't mess with all those quotes. Only time I ever use quotes is if it just flat doesn't make sense if I don't. Does that make sense to you? And I'm trying to think of an instance and I can't. But if it just flat doesn't make sense without the quotes, then I'll put them in. But in probably the last 5 years, I think I've used quotes 3 times. I just don't.
Is the quote accurate?
Exactly, because you don't even, never, because they always say something wrong, and so I just don't mess with it. Yeah, it's just, I don't even do sick, I don't even use sick 100 times. I mean, I do, like the other day I had this, he called the witness Bobby through the whole thing. His name was Robbie, and he kept calling him Bobby, and it was right. So I sicked it the first time, and I use brackets for my sick, and I put sick dash Robbie the first time, and then that's it, I'm done. Because I let him know it's Robbie, not Bobby, and I was done. That's it, and I'm not going to do them all. It's too much trouble. You have the ease, just ease, and ease of readability.
After you do a sick, you put the real, what it should be?
If in that situation I did because I knew. If I don't know, then I just put sick.
But if you know you do.
If I know I do. Or if they just said the wrong word, like, if they called it a he or instead of a she, no, I just put sick. If it's obvious, usually I just use, very seldom do I actually put it. In that situation I did because it was the name and it was all through the transcript. Yeah.
And of course, when you're putting in the stuff that you're saying,
Mhm.
some of those times,
Uh-huh.
you're not writing that as you're saying it.
Like,
when she was standing up and saying, okay, counsel, I've told y'all.
oh, like if you're I see what you're saying. So she's asked me, like, if you're standing up saying, well, we really need an interpreter today, this is very, I go back and put that in because I have,
You're getting on the audio.
I've got my audio. Well, with your audio sync is not going to pick it up because it stops after so many words, right? But I usually have a backup recorder going too, or my phone, one or the other, as a separate backup, and I'll pick it up off of that. Or I'll just put a parenthetical. Sometimes, most of the time, I just, I don't put every word like she said. I just put a parenthetical. Advise attorneys, needed interpreter, period. Court reporter, advise attorneys need interpreter, and leave it at that. Something simple, not anything long. I always try to keep it short and sweet. Let's see, what else? Let's see. Look at my notes, make sure I don't forget anything. Now, another thing, when Anita was talking about everybody talking at the same time, I don't know about you guys, but I have a tendency, I stop them, and I do try to keep track of everything, one at a time. I do one at a time, and I usually do 3 times, like she said. I do one at a time first. One at a time, please. That's my first one. One at a time, please. Keep going. Second time is one at a time. A little bit louder. Third time is usually a pound on the table, one at a time. And then usually that gets their attention. And then I say, I'm not going to remind you again. From this point forward, I'm just speaking simultaneously, just so you know. And that's it. I'm done. I don't keep interrupting. Unless it, clearly went over my head and I didn't understand what they said or something. But usually that speaking simultaneously stuff, yeah, they get 3 times and I'm done. I'm not going to keep interrupting. It makes it for a bad record, and especially if it's video, I don't like my voice on there. I just don't want to be on the video. I have a desire to do that, so I just don't. Now I have a question for you guys. Have you run into, I ran into this a lot for a while, attorneys making their own video? Have y'all been running into that a lot? What do y'all do? Just allow it?
Yeah.
What if they've got it like where you're on the video? I have had a couple of times where the attorney came in, he had his computer, and he had it aimed at the entire room, so it was getting everyone. I didn't agree to be on videotape. So what I do, I don't want to be on videotape. I'm concentrating on writing, and that stresses me out, knowing that I'm on videotape. I don't know why, but it does. And so if I see it, I will just politely say, if you want to aim that at the witness, fine, but I don't want to be on that videotape. If I see myself on that videotape, you're shutting it down. And I had one guy, he said, well, I do this every depo. I go, well, you're not doing it in mine. Aim it at the witness or turn it off. Those are your choices. And he aimed it at the witness. I went and checked. I was like, okay, don't move it. And I'm going to check at the break. And I did. I checked at the break. I said, I don't want to be on the video. And then, I don't care really if they're taping it or recording it, but it is a pain because, but then what do? When I turn the job in, I consider it a videotape deposition. I call it a videotape deposition, and I'm charging them for a videotape deposition because there's a videotape of it out there. So I'm going to charge them for that. Why not? It's an extra 25 cents a page. Somebody videotaped it. Did y'all do that? Am I the only one? I don't want to sound greedy, but somebody's got a videotape out there, right? So I'm going to charge for it. What about, and I also, when they're speaking simultaneously like that, I try to focus on the person who's speaking the softest, and that's the person I try to write. Because the others are going to be so loud, you're going to pick them up on your audio. But the softest person you're not going to get. So that's who I focus on. Is that who you focus on too? When they're all screaming at each other and you're about to go crazy? Yeah. I was trying to think of some stories for you. Anita was like, make sure you share stories. So I told you about the Korean. I'm trying to think of the other one I had not long ago. Oh, and I saw something on the Google thing the other day that just threw me for a loop. You might have seen it too. It was somebody had said they were in or maybe it was Facebook. They were in an arbitration. The arbitrator actually said, I guess everybody was introducing themselves, and the arbitrator actually said about the court reporter, she's unimportant. What would y'all have done?
I've never had that.
I think I would have blown a gasket. I'm like, she said that he actually said, she's unimportant.
Sounds like a teaching moment.
I was like, oh yeah, exactly. Sounds like a teaching moment. I would have said, excuse me. And sometimes they do try to shove you in the corner when you do arbitrations. I've had that happen, especially in the patent things when they have a panel and there's like 3 to 5 arbitrators there. They try to shove you in a corner. So I'm always like, baby, be shoved in no corner. I'm not sitting back here. I got to sit where I can see. And so I rearrange the room. Usually I'll go in and they have it like all crazy set up anyway. And I'm like, people, we can't hear like this. I mean, you can't even hear the witness like this. We got to redo. And I try to like set it up, maybe like in a square kind of, or like a horseshoe or something. And I sit in the middle where I can see everybody and hear everything. And I may not hear the people behind me, but they're not talking anyway. It's the people in front of you that are doing the talking. And so I try to set it up. I'll just walk in and change it. And I usually ask the arbitrator's permission because they're the judge, quote unquote, for the day, right? So I usually say, hey, do you mind if I rearrange this because I can't hear like this? And I'll usually say, bad hearing in this ear. I gotta sit over here. I really don't, but they don't know that, right? I have bad hearing in this ear, and I need to sit on this side so I can hear, and I need them to be close to me. And they'll go, okay. Oh, they don't, they don't know, heck. And then they let me move up so I can hear, because I'm not gonna sit way in the back. I've walked past people's depositions before, and I don't know. I'm like, how are they hearing this? They're sitting in a back corner somewhere behind a witness. They can't see their lips move. I'm like, how are you possibly getting this transcript? If they have headphones on, that's one thing. But a lot of times I'll walk by the door and I'm seeing a reporter taking a depo and I'm like, they don't have headphones on and they're sitting behind the witness. How are they getting that? I've taken students with me and done that before and set them behind me and they're like, I can't hear a thing. And it made me really think, I'm like, how are those reporters getting that job when you're sitting behind the witness? So I usually try to go in and I kind of dictate to where people sit. Some attorneys don't like it, and I'm like, I'll make up something, whatever it takes to be able to get the record, right? I'll just say, I'm really sorry, but I can't sit on that side because I can't hear with this ear. I'll stop that. I can't hear. It's all clogged. I've been sick. Whatever.
I tell them, I got here first, I'm the boss.
Oh, that's good. She tells him, I got here first, I'm the boss. That's good.
We're setting it up this way.
That's good. I've had a few times that it was really funny. I love it when videographers come in and set up and tell you where you're going to sit, and they have you sit in some crazy place. And I walk in, especially if they have all that equipment and they're doing the Elmo and all that, and they got all this stuff everywhere, and you're like, and they left you like this little tiny corner, your computer's supposed to fit there without falling off the table. And I'm like, oh, we got to move this stuff. We got to move around a little bit. Let's move the screen over a little bit so I have a little bit of space. And they get all bent out of shape, but And I had this one firm I went into, and they, the attorney had done these little placards for everybody, and he had put them in where he wanted everybody to sit. It was the funniest thing I have never seen an attorney do that before. But he had little placards where he wanted everybody to sit, and he had me sit in some weird spot, and I went in and switched them. And I was just waiting to see if he'd say anything. He didn't say a word, but I just knew he was going to, because he had me at the wrong end of the table. And I'm like, and so I just switched it. I'm like, oh, he won't know. He didn't say anything, but I thought that was pretty funny. So let's see if we've gone through all of the NCRA stuff that we have to go through. Let's see. So what is the amount of money that we are allowed to give to firms for gifts? Who knows?
100, isn't it?
100, yeah, $100. What is it for NCRA? It's a little bit different.
Is it 1,000?
No.
Oh.
I wish. No, I don't wish because I don't want to spend that kind of money, but no. It's like 125. They're like a little bit, they're a little bit more lenient than we are in Texas. Texas is 100. Now, do y'all take out food and stuff when y'all go to jobs? I'm curious.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir?
There is no limit on whatever gift they want to give me today.
Okay. We'll remember that. Do you take chocolate? What do you guys take sweets out, or do you take gifts? Do you take anything out on your jobs? I'm just curious.
I was taking cookies and then nobody ate them. It seemed like they were all on diets. Yeah. So I was taking it home and we were all going away. So
I know, right? She said she was taking out sweets and nobody was eating them. I've noticed. I noticed that this past couple of years, a lot of firms require you to take stuff out. There are some firms that require you, that want you to take cookies, want you to take brownies, whatever. And I don't do that. I used to there for a while, and like you said, nobody was eating anything. And it was really funny. People up north don't know what kolaches are. I didn't know that, okay? So I've had a few jobs where I had people from out of town, and I think, okay, when they're out of town, I want to be extra nice, right? Because you have a lot of people. So I thought, I'm going to stop and get kolaches, and not thinking they don't know what they are. And so I get kolaches, and I think all these guys were from, they were like from Wisconsin and New York and New Jersey, and I'm like, okay. So I took kolaches, and I put them in the middle of the table, and nobody was even look. They would like open it and like look at it, kind of look funny, and I'm thinking, I don't think they know what those are. And I said, do y'all know what a kolache is? And they're like, no. And I said, well, you should try it. You should try it. And they're like, looks like lots of bread. You know, I'm like, are y'all? And so it's like they were always on a diet. Nobody would ever eat them. Or I would go get like tacos, breakfast tacos.
What is it?
Kolache, oh, you don't know what a kolache is either. So he's from up north. A kolache is like, it's like a yeast bread, kind of like this really good yeast bread, and it's full of stuff. It could be scrambled eggs and bacon. It could be scrambled eggs and sausage, ham and cheese. There's all different kinds of kolaches. Sausage kolaches are the most common.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like little, they're like little, you know, depending on where you get them from.
Why do you take them food?
I used to. I don't do that anymore. But I used to because the firms required it. They wanted us to take stuff out there. They wanted us to take cookies or brownies or whatever. And, well, yeah, they would reimburse us. They would reimburse us for taking stuff out.
That's kind of making you like a glorified.
Exactly. Well, then, exactly, they made us feel like a glorified secretary. I know. Well, I stopped taking it. Now, what happened was a lot of, like, then they started having their salespeople take stuff out. So then the salespeople would bring, like, sometimes they bring out breakfast or something. But I have discovered that, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but they don't ever eat it. It always sits there and nobody ever eats it. So I just stopped taking stuff. I take my own smoothie every morning, and they always look at my smoothie and like they want it. I'm like, you're not getting my smoothie. You know, I take my own smoothie, and that is like, you know, that gets me through till lunch. And then, like Anita was talking about, yeah, I don't go without lunch either. I've had a few occasions where they wanted to work through because they were trying to catch their flights. And I'll work through for a while, but then I'm like, you know, I need to eat something because when I start shaking, I can't write. And you know, and yeah, it's a good. See, and I'll say that too. I'm hypoglycemic. I gotta have a break. I'm really not, but you know, and they don't know that. You know, sometimes the little white lies, you have to, you know, do that to get your way, or you just be honest. I'm not working past 1 without food. You know, I mean, I've been at jobs where they've gone till 4 or 5, and you're starving, and you're like, okay, and it's like I had one where they kept saying. Only, you know how they do that, a few more questions? Mm-hmm. At 1 o'clock, they started doing the few more questions, and I said, okay, but, you know, it's 1 o'clock, you know, and a few more questions. There were 7 attorneys. So they keep doing this. All of a sudden, it's 4 o'clock, and I'm, like, starving to have a headache, and I'm like, okay, we're not doing this. And so I told them they were going to be here, like, for a week, and I was like, okay, tomorrow we're having lunch. So we're not doing this again, just so you know. Tomorrow we're eating lunch. It's either at 12 or 1, but we're having lunch. And they're like, oh yeah, sorry. And I'm like, no sorry, tomorrow we are having lunch. And you can either call it in so we don't have to leave, or whatever, but we're having lunch. So they started calling lunch in every day. It was awesome, I didn't have to pay for lunch. Isn't that great when they do that? So anybody have any questions? Anybody have questions about anything? No questions? 3 minutes? So let's see, what else we can talk about? Anita had 2 books that she wanted to mention to you, and I don't know if you're familiar with them. One is called Simple Syllables by Anissa Nurum. I never say her name right. Nurum Barker? Nurum something? I can't remember. I'm sorry. She's a court reporter, and I can't pronounce her last name. But it's called Simple Syllables, and it's a really good book you can get online to help you with your writing and to add those things into your dictionary. There's another book that is one of my favorite books. It's called Word Trippers. And it's just words that trip you up, that maybe you don't know how to spell or just are hard to write. And that is not by a court reporter, but you can, it's just a list of words, and you can go through and put them in your dictionary, just stuff that might trip you up when you're writing, so that if you hear it, you know, so those are a few really good books that she's talked about.
I got a question. Okay, there used to be a situation where you could just, you know, as a freelancer, you could just have some few clients or whatever, and you took those. I mean, does that exist anymore?
Yeah, there are. She's asking me what used to happen, she hasn't reported in a while, is that people would have their own clients and take care of their own clients, and you would produce them and do all that. You can still do that. I personally don't choose to do that because I work too much, and I don't want to have the hassle of having to stop what I'm doing and make copies and copy exhibits and do all that stuff. I just don't have the time for it. So I'd rather pay my 15-20% to a firm and let them handle all that. Collections is a pain in the rear, and I'd rather somebody else deal with it, not me, and we still get paid. Because they're going to still pay you, and they're going to have to collect from your client. So I would prefer that so that I don't have to deal with it. So that's totally up to you how you choose to do that. But if you are using other reporters to cover your clients, and you use more than, I believe it, is it 2 people? I believe it's 2 people to cover your clients. You need to become a firm on your own. You need to get your own number.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the only kind of difference.
Is that what you do, or you just work for yourself?
I'm sorry?
Is that what you do, or do you just work for yourself?
Me?
20 firms. You say you work for 20 firms?
I work for like 20 firms, yes. I'm freelance. I work for like 20 firms, but I do have my own clients that I put through another firm here, in Houston. And that's just kind of how, I don't really want to do anything for myself. It's just too much trouble.
Yeah.
I'd rather put them through somebody else. So I put them through a firm in Houston, but I do work for about 20 firms. Because, in Texas we have the Uniform Format Manual. So your format's going to look the same. The only thing that changes are the little block on your end page where it has the name of the firm and their firm number. And then on your end pages just change the firm information. That's all that's going to change. And if you put @ symbols and you put it in your database, it's very simple to go in and change those things. And so that's why I work for so many people. And that way I always have work.
Yeah.
If I want it. If I want off, I take off. If I want work, who needs me? I'm available next week.
Is that pretty standard, the 85-15?
No, typically now the cut is, if you have your own clients, it's either 85 or 80. If you don't have your own clients, the typical is 70%.
70-30.
Now, there are some firms still that are paying, I discovered this, I didn't even know, there's still some firms paying 65%. I refuse to work for that, but there are some firms and you need to find out. You need to ask those questions. Those are good questions to ask. And for those of you who don't know, I wrote a book back in 2010 called Transitioning from Student to Professional Court Reporter, and there is a list in there of questions you should ask firms when you go to work for them about the rates, all those kinds of questions. They're all in there. And that's available on Amazon. It's really for new people, but it might apply to you since you've been out for a while. Anything else? All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We didn't get to my game, so you can just pass the cards back up. Thank you.
Well, there you go. You're done. How easy was that? I hope you had a great time taking this program. Now you have a few more CEUs to add to your CEU bucket there. Now remember, if you're taking one of our longer courses, please wait until you finish all the seminars before you send us your answers. And please try to, if you're going to put them in an email, copy them in one straight vertical line, separated by the different course titles. And that makes it easy for me to grade, makes it go a lot faster, and I don't make any mistakes. Well, not so much. Okay. And also you can scan them in order and send them to me as well. Remember, we're always putting new content up here. Every year we will have at least 4 to 10 more hours worth of CEUs that you can get here from the comfort of your home. So if you know more court reporters that would like to get their credits that way, please let them know about it. And remember, your home for CEUs online, Jeff Jesse's Seminars, where you can get your CEUs online anytime.